Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. What is this? June the 7th, I believe, is where we are right now. 2018. And it is another Technical Alpha podcast. We're finally back. We tried to do it, several days ago. Miserable failure, but now we're back again. And this time, we should have it right-ish. Skype is broken for two out of the three of us, but we band-aided it with some Discord action, and we should be able to bring everything to you in all of its glory. Gentlemen, how are you doing today, Mr. Black?
I'm not doing too bad. I woke up at like 10 to 9, had a little nap, and yeah, here I am. That's it.
Not a bad day. It's a pretty straightforward afternoon where you just wake up, go to sleep again, wake up, and now here we are.
Yep.
And how you doing, Mr. PanicSwitched?
I'm just wondering what year it is right now. But it's been a while since we've been on the podcast.
It has been a hot minute.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Pretty long week. Longer still. I'm going to an event in Virginia tomorrow, Storm Cup, so I have to get all packed up and ready for that after the podcast. But other than that, it's been a pretty good couple of weeks.
Not bad then. Not bad.
I just got back from DreamHack Austin on Monday. Had some Adam and Jeff travel luck.
Hey, somebody's got to catch it other than us once in a lifetime.
Well, I mean, they bumped me up to first class, which was okay, but then they also bumped me from an 8 p.m. arrival to a 5 a.m. arrival. So, yeah.
That's a severe difference in time. That's dramatic, actually.
We also somehow managed to land an hour early, which I don't know how you do.
Which
throws everything off.
Were you going west to east?
Yes.
That's why.
Tailwind
the whole way. That's pretty much the only way. And the further west you are, the faster or the more time you'll say, excuse me. I mean, most people who follow the podcast would probably already know this already, but I moved. I'm in a new space. Panic and Jeff get a nice view of my floor behind me because of how the webcam has to be set up right now.
Dude, yesterday when you were streaming, I thought that wall was a green screen effect.
It's pretty crazy, eh? So it's like because of the lighting and because I'm using a webcam, it's pretty wild. There will be something back there in the not too distant future, so that will change. But yeah, definitely. And the other thing is, I'm not used to having natural light anymore because I was down in the basement forever. So I had my old settings for, my exposure and gain and all that. And I looked up at one point the other day during one of my streams and I literally just looked like Jesus. Just everything was just blown out. You couldn't even see my facial features. It was just
It actually doesn't look bad at all. I think if you just get a little an LED light panel thing like I have that's $30, it'll be just fine. You don't need anything fancy.
Oh no, I mean I've got lighting in the room. It's not finalized or anything yet, but
you just need something on your face to bring you out a bit, but it looks pretty good.
I'm not that worried about it. But
base screen effect is solid.
It will, yeah. It is quite nice. So the move went about as well as it could. We got it done in 7 days. It was in and out. I just about died trying to get the house ready in time, but we did. The night before, it was 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, and I was steam cleaning the carpets at the old place, and so I imagine I probably kept my old neighbor Mike up because those things are loud as shit. I don't know if anyone's actually used a steam cleaner before for carpets, but they are not the quietest appliances that you can use. So I apologize.
You learn a lot about yourself from what comes up from that carpet.
The
kind of person you are when you see that dirt.
For our carpet, it wasn't actually that dirty, but there was a crap load of Rex hair that when you use the steam cleaner, the brush that's on the head of it is way more aggressive than a regular vacuum cleaner brush. Yeah. And especially when you're using the upholstery head for the stairs, I was just pulling. I could have been there for 3 weeks just pulling Rex hair.
How many Rexes?
Out of the carpet. Oh, many. To the point where at one point I thought I was going to clog the head and I was going to have to pull it apart with the screwdriver and fix it. So we got it done though. It was all good. I was a little scared though because with the upholstery cleaner everything was going fine. The carpet was just a little damp at the end. It wasn't crazy. But when I started using like the proper unit for the carpet, like the floor, and I went over everything 2 or 3 times. Once with the spray on, and then 2 more times nothing, just to try and drag extra moisture, and it wasn't sucking up anything. It was just putting water to the carpet and not taking up dick.
So do you routinely have problems with sucking at them?
Apparently, if
right.
if this podcast last couple weeks has been any indication, then that very might well be true. But the move is like 85% done now. We're at the very least we're out of that place. The keys were handed over. We've got a bunch of all of our stuff is here, and just in various stages of unpackedness. Just some things are still in boxes, other things are half out of boxes, and some things have been actually fully removed from boxes and moved at least 3 to 4 feet in any direction from the box. So progress is being made. The office, as Jeff and Panic can see, you guys can't see it, but I still don't have a lot of my stuff set up, but I have enough to stream, which I desperately needed to do because it had been like 14 or 15 days since I was able to friggin' stream. But we got her, and we're good to go. But gents, we've when you're gone for as long as we were, a lot happens. And holy crap, did we choose the worst possible time to go away for 2 weeks. I can't
Jeff and I didn't really choose here.
well, true. Okay, I chose the worst possible time to go away for 2 weeks, and Microsoft chose the worst possible time to update my computer and break everything. A lot has happened for sure, and we've got quite a list here. What I had to do was I had to go in on the list, like the running list that I had over time, and I had to just basically cherry pick some shit because we could have been here for 6 hours talking about stuff that happened the last couple of weeks. But let's kick it right off the bat. First things first, and talk about the fact that we lost a pillar in the gaming community here in our absence, both in the StarCraft community originally, and then what became basically the entire gaming community, the trajectory that he took. Mr. John Bain left us all behind and got off of this politically correct world long before the rest of us did, and an unfortunate thing that I didn't honestly personally. The way that it was going, I thought he was just indestructible. I didn't think he was actually gonna lose the fight. He seemed like he was impervious to it.
It looked like it went downhill really quickly.
It did for sure. I mean,
tragic.
The best understanding that I had from like the obviously scant, thin information that was online was that the way that it read to me from what I saw from him was that when he started having back pain again, and he went to a doctor, and the doc was like, it's X, it's not Y. Let's figure something out here. And I believe the way it played out was that ended up actually just flat out being cancer coming back in a pretty big way. And then it all just, by the time they figured it out, I guess, his body was too beat up. I mean, this dude had gone through the ringer several times over, and it was too beat up for him to even do experimental treatments at that point, which always has seemed odd to me that somebody who is apparently that far gone would be not allowed to do experimental treatments at that point. I'm sure there is a good reason set in place by people far smarter than I am, but it always just seemed a little odd to me that could ever be the thing.
There's a lot of so when stuff is even in the experimental phase, when things are in clinical trials, the data and record keeping on who it's applied to and how it's applied is like super strict. And even though there is possibly a medical benefit of giving it to someone who's like in late stage or terminal, there's also a lot of risks, which even if someone waives all liability and stuff, that data still needs to be collected, and it can have impacts on things. So they just tend to say, look, unless there's some like extreme case, they don't want to get into it, because also they don't have a lot of medication on hand when they're doing the initial trials. It's all like hand developed. So usually once it's gotten to a point where they're like, oh, this is super critical and they might it might help them. They don't necessarily have enough time to manufacture or set up whatever than they had for the trial.
Mm.
So
And that's fair. But either way, we obviously our best goes out to Jenna and the family, and it did kind of come out of nowhere for sure. It definitely went downhill fast, and maybe that's better than dragging that bad boy out like crazy. I don't know. Personally, I feel like if I was in his position and my choices were basically just go from where he was, where he was more functional in his state than I've ever been and perfectly healthy,
I
to
saw him like 7 months ago at BlizzCon. He was he was up and about. He looked
yeah.
like he was relatively okay, but at the same time, yeah, he looked like he had been worn on by fighting cancer for so many years. But it was just surprising, like because he announced it about a month ago, and then he said he's going to be spending time. He was like getting stuff ready, but then it was just very abrupt.
Yeah,
It was kind
it
of shocking.
definitely went quick. But Total Biscuit played an integral part in LAGTV's early success because he gave us a little push when YouTube was actually still useful for pushing other people with something as simple as a like. He went and liked one of our videos, and for the next 72 hours, we had followers or subscribers just rolling in, just on a constant cadence. Every minute, every 30 seconds, there was a new follower. And he did that a couple of times early on, and it made an absolutely massive impact on early stage LAGTV and gave us a pretty monumental shove in the right direction. And I just think in general, whether you agreed with everything that came out of the guy's mouth or not, I think one thing's for sure is that he seemed like a man of great character. Ironically, I never personally got to talk to the guy one-on-one. I never get the chance. I only got to see him from afar, from across the room at one of those events where Jeff and I jokingly talk about the fact that we were basically just, window shopping at a StarCraft event on the outside looking in, going, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could sit in that chair? So, and I always kind of felt sad about that because I never get to thank him in person for giving us that shove early on. But yeah, we lost him. He'll be missed, and it leaves a pretty monstrous vacuum in the off-brand, not mainstream necessarily game critic world. There's not that many of those guys at his size kicking around out there. And so when you take him off the list, it's going to leave quite a hole. So yeah, again, all the best to his family from me. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts, but obviously we had to talk about that.
Yeah. I talked about it for a while on my stream. I'll say it. I'll just sort of repeat a lot of what you said. He was an absolute pillar, and he helped out LAGTV a great deal when we were first starting out. It was When She's Fail, Season 1, Episode 9. And he also was a big reason why I won King of the Web. A lot of people forget that.
Oh, yeah.
On a daily basis, he would retweet and tell his community to go vote for me as I was donating all of the money to charity. And he thought it was a great cause. I do believe, it actually went to Athene's charity, and then DC was matching it. So I ended up winning $7,500, but I only got, I think, 55-ish after taxes, because they withheld a certain amount. They only gave out so much.
It was an American competition.
It was an American.
So they had to take it.
But it was between 55 and $5,800 I ended up getting. And I donated that, and then it got matched. So, that went to a great cause. And I actually had the privilege to meet Total Biscuit on several occasions. And one of our talks was actually fairly lengthy. We sat down, and this was sort of on my come up, and he kind of gave me some words of advice. I won't go through the whole conversation, but yeah, he was good to me, and he was good to a ton of people. And like what Adam said, yeah, a lot of people don't agree with everything he said. Hell, I didn't agree with everything that he said.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, um, if you don't have an opinion, and he was the cynical Brit, then you're not standing out, and he was a standout. And the things that I agreed on, I agreed on. The things I didn't, I really didn't. But I could say the same thing for any of us. We all say things.
Opinions, man.
Opinions.
That's what I liked about him, though. He was like always super blunt and direct on his opinions.
Yeah.
But it was on the opinion alone. He wasn't like, he never really attacked the person directly. Like, he would attack the person on their position and the reasoning behind the position, but he would never directly attack the person like ad hominem, short of just like you idiot at the end of it or something.
Yeah, and I
But
mean that was, and
he was generally
also,
respectful about it.
yeah, it was also his persona. He's the cynical Brit. I mean,
But
yeah,
in person,
sure.
he's super
in
nice.
person, I mean, I never
polite.
knew Total Biscuit very well, beyond the conversations we've had and stuff like that. And funny story is that I don't think I ever told anybody is I actually applied to be on Axiom, and I actually spoke to his wife via email anyway. And although I was obviously declined from them, they took the time to write out quite a lengthy email, expressing how they were happy that I was reaching out, and they were super nice about it. And it wasn't one of those like generic copy and paste rejection emails or anything like that. Some time and effort went into it, and it was always appreciated. And he was just a good dude, man. Every time I met him, he was a good dude. He always showed up. He was always on when he was on. He was a workaholic. He did his job, in my opinion, better or just as good as the best of them. And he was never an asshole to his fans. I mean, whenever I saw him, he was always signing autographs, taking pictures, having conversations with people. So I don't care what anybody says. Anybody can go ahead and have their opinions. But at the end of the day, I got to meet the real Total Biscuit. And I'm grateful for that. It is a shame that he was taken so soon. I hate cancer with a burning passion. I think everybody here does, and hopefully we can get closer and closer to having things like this not have to happen anymore. I was happy and then also saddened by how the community reacted, but at the same time, I shouldn't say community, but the gaming world.
It shows how powerful he was, though, that even like,
exactly
for every person that came out with something, sleazy or terrible, there was a dozen more ready to be like, no, you were wrong.
Yep.
And like actually go to bat for him in the community in general.
Yeah, and also to do it sort of, and I don't want to bring this into a negative light, but to do that when a man can't defend himself anymore,
it's wrong.
It is wrong in my opinion. But once again, it's the internet, and no matter what kind of shit you can throw at Total Biscuit in terms of what he said, and I think we all know sort of the big underlining things that people kept going back at. I'm a victim of, or I should say I'm a victim, but I'm also guilty of saying things as well in the heat of the moment. Whether it came from a passion event or just a moment of weakness or just being on all the time. It just happens, and a person's character shouldn't be defined by a couple of moments of weakness or however people want to perceive it. So
look, filter doesn't kick in. It's
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look, in 2018, that's all it takes is like some microcosm of a moment of one person's life where everything else is ignored, and then they're completely framed by this one moment in time. And I think it speaks volumes that the worst thing that I saw said against John in this whole thing was that he had the audacity to say during the Gamergate bullshit, which I'm going to call bullshit because it is, was that both sides were at fault. What a what an absolutely salacious fucking comment that is. Holy crap, John, reel her back a bit there, buddy. You're telling me that one side also has something to do with what's going on? That's not possible. We can't have that. So I think that for somebody who went by the name Cynical Brit, whose most negatives were tied to almost to things that were easily ignored, is impressive, especially given the fact that he lived on the internet. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway and the biggest inspiration for me from John is that you're looking at an individual, whether he was by nature a workaholic or not. And I think part of his work ethic was to keep going in the face of what he was working his way through. The fact that this man did the breadth of work that this man accomplished in a time where most people have a hard time just getting out of the bed in the morning when you have cancer and you're doing chemo and other treatments and you're racked up about it, and this dude was doing more work than I will do in my lifetime in this like 2-year friggin' period, is super impressive to me. And it's inspiring because perspective is sometimes difficult to come by when you live on the internet, because everything is kind of your own crafted bubble. It's just kind of the way that the internet is
You
designed.
build your own echo chamber.
And so perspective can be hard to come by. So I'm grateful that a little bit of perspective of this situation was bestowed upon me in that I got to watch a man who, for all accounts, could have just stopped working and focused solely on getting better, and instead decided that he was just going to work through it and say fuck cancer, is impressive. And it makes me, it makes me want to work harder or complain less about when I have to
definitely
work
complain less
when I
yeah,
have to
that's
work
for sure.
harder.
Yep.
And I think that's definitely a positive takeaway
But
for
yeah, he'll be
more than a
missed.
few
He'll-
people.
He'll definitely be missed.
Mm.
So yeah,
And Godspeed to
news.
Jenna, because that is a hell of a 180. I mean, all the best to her, and I know the community's got her back for sure, and she'll be okay. But that is a steep learning curve, and I'm sure she's up to the task. But all the best to the family, without question. Moving on to, I guess, our litany of game-related stuff that's happened in the last couple weeks. And I tried to put this in some sort of order that made sense, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. I thought one of the more interesting things that cropped up, this actually only just happened in the last couple of days, if I'm not mistaken, is that Guy, or I think is his name, the CEO of Ubisoft, came out and said that he is pretty certain that not this generation, but the next generation of consoles will be the last generation of consoles. I thought I'd toss that out there and just see what if you guys agree or disagree with that thought, and why you might agree or disagree with that thought, because it's definitely something that's people have said a couple of generations now, that this is the last one, the next one's the last one, the next one's the last one. So what do you guys think about that?
Well,
Do you think the next generation is the last one? Do you think we're going to get more?
I think we'll get more. I
We're
think we'll get
definitely gonna
more. Just because of the nature of the console. But I think I talked about this in the last time we talked about next generations and stuff, where I can really seeing it becoming that Microsoft and Sony are basically going to come out with PCs, and the PC will be a console, so to speak, but it will be basically a powered.
I
guess
the
it'll
delivery
always
mechanism is going to change somehow.
It'll be a console, but it'll be more like a PC. I think that's just what's going to happen. And I think I also think that there'll always be consoles just because they want to keep separate markets. Even if they do become like PCs, I still think they'll call it a console because it will still be a console, so to speak. You know, even a PC is kind of a console when you think about it.
I think what's going to end up happening, sorry to cut you off, Jeff,
No,
but
go ahead.
it's kind of the same vein. So a lot of what we've been seeing in kind of the enterprise space and in the business space is this whole virtualization thing where people don't actually have like a full-on computer at their desk. They have this like little thin client PC thing. But these things are talking to data centers that are like not necessarily in the same building or nearby. So what I think is going to end up happening is we've seen kind of inklings of it with like OnLive and some other services and Steam Link. But I think maybe in like 2 or 3 generations time, maybe like five, maybe 8 years, I think we're going to see like the Sony and Microsoft, whatever, just kind of giving out like a thin client thing and then going straight up full on service where they'll run everything on their end and you just kind of get the streaming data with the responsive latency. I think we're just waiting for the network technology to kind of catch up a bit, but I think that's what they're going to end up doing with like a whole software as a service type deal where they don't have to keep pushing out hardware. They just have a thin client that just sends you a video signal that you're getting from some other server somewhere else.
I think that's a cool futuristic way of looking at it.
That's what I'm saying, like 5 to 8 years. Because
Yeah,
I've been seeing, I use it for work every week, and
Yeah.
it works really well for my desktop stuff. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before it becomes more mainstream.
Yeah, the problem is there's always going to be a demand for a console to physically go out and buy a piece of hardware to have your money kind of.
No, that's what I mean. You're gonna
have-
buy a box that you put next to your TV. It's gonna look like a console. It'll have controllers like a console,
but
but
I
it
also
won't
still
actually do
think-
much inside of it.
I still also think there's too much of an attachment to physical games. I just even though I'm in the realm, like for me, even still, the games that I'm really looking forward to that I know I'll like or that I have a connection to, I'll go out of my way to go to the store and buy the game because I just want to have it. I just want to. I want to be tangible. I want to feel it. I want to open it. I want to put the disc in. I want to do that shit.
I feel
pretty
like
much everything else
after our
I'll just
generation,
download
though, that's kind of going like the generation after us has way less attachment to physical media than us. So
I also agree with that. I think
feel like
I
a
think
couple of
there's
years
the
from now
truth.
that's going to be less. So
I mean, it's not out of a realm of possibilities for sure. I think maybe 5 years, 5 to 8, even 5 to 8 years might be a bit soon, but you never know. I still think we're gonna get consoles. I still think one way or another, whether it's Panic's route where it's all digital, and you're connected to a network and you're buying games through that, and that's the show. Or we're still going to be buying the PlayStation X or the Xbox, whatever they want to call it in 10 years. I think we're going to be getting consoles for a while yet, but I think Panic is probably a little bit more right on the way that they're going to deliver the media. I think the media is going to change a little bit digitally. But
I feel like they'll just want to get rid of. I think they want to get rid of that rat race of this is the hardware that's going in the box with like the GPU and CPU.
But everybody's got to get on board with that, right?
Because I know they're gonna have to demo it No, that's the thing. They don't have to do the one company because all they can say is, "Hey, you guys develop the game for one platform, like just for PC."
No, I'm talking about Sony or Xbox. If Sony or Xbox goes, you go ahead and you do your thing.
Yeah.
Now we're going to own the console market. Guess what, guys? The consoles, Sony's trying to take away what you love. Don't worry. Xbox got the solution. We're coming out with the Xbox X. The same old shit you're used to. You go out and you buy the hardware. There it is. Also, when you do that, when you have this thing on the internet where
you have
everything is done, there are network problems. And also, it almost feels like there's no more progression. No matter what they'll tell you, no matter if they say, don't worry, guys, because we're used to the next generation. It's something to look forward to. Once things get stale, like after 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know how long we're in now in PS4, but we'll say 4 or 5 years. Once you're in that long, you start to look forward to the next thing. You start to go, well, it's almost how a franchise is rebooted. We look at something like Red Dead. Get it on the next generation console. It isn't like, hey, we're going to use the same chipset or the same everything that we used previously. You have something to look forward. And then
that's the thing though. Like again, if that's the thing with the remote hardware setup. All they have to do is be like, yo, here's a demo for the next Red Dead game that came out, and you get that performance. Like, you don't have to buy something new.
But psychologically, there's something that really changes there because
there's that psychological niceness of not having to buy it, though. I get exactly what you're saying because you get that itch to buy something new.
Exactly.
And get it, but at the same time, I'd be pretty pumped. Like, you know what? I don't have to buy something new, and I can play the new Red Dead. That's pretty sick.
I agree. I mean, in theory, it's good, but you got to change the entire industry. In such a drastic way. I don't know. What do you think, Adam?
It's tough because, first of all, I think we're a
long ways away.
Real fucking long way away from streaming games to a TV like you use for your remote desktop. Like we are aeons away, if only because the network connectivity for the average consumer in the States is hot fucking garbage. Absolute dog shit for the vast majority of citizens in the United States of America, and they're paying through the nose for it, and they have data caps. So to think that in 5 to 8 years, all of that's just going to like poof and go away is pretty much
I think we'll have made progress towards it. I don't know if we'll necessarily be completely on it, but I feel like one of the next consoles, like not this gen, but whatever comes out in 5 to 8 years, it'll have it where you can stream the games down to it too. It'll probably still have legacy stuff, but I feel like they're going to be going in that direction.
And then their next step is you got hardcore gamers, which, despite the fact that they're not the vast majority of the market, when games like Fortnite become popular, it's going to breed a whole new generation of hardcore gamers that are on a scale, like, we're getting a fresh injection of hardcore gamer on a scale that we haven't seen I can't off the top of my head
ever
think of a time
in my lifetime anyway.
Like, think of the last time we got this kind, because normally the hardcore gaming segment, even within the gaming community, is not this big. Fortnite is now bigger than, like, arguably the casual gaming segment. So we're getting this massive influx of it, and on top of the network connectivity for data issues and whatnot, it's the input latency for hardcore gamers that they will fight. And you're talking about a segment of people that shit themselves over the difference between 120 hertz and 240 hertz and having a mouse that is wired versus wireless. You're talking about people that spend most of their time squinting at a 22-inch TN panel because they don't want to give up anything. There are still motherfuckers out there playing CSGO on CRTs overclocked to 75 hertz because that's the only way to play CSGO. And I understand that that's an extreme example, but when you're talking about, think about it. When people go in and they're watching Ninja, what's one of the first things you see in chat all the fucking time? It's, what's your setup? What mouse are you using? What keyboard are you using? What are your game settings? What do you eat in the morning to get yourself ready? What's your pre-workout supplement so that you can be awake for 8 straight hours?
Do you jerk off at night or in the morning?
Like, yeah, do you get
Which
rid of your
leg do you put in your pants first?
Do you get rid of your testosterone, or do you hold on to it for performance? Like, what? Like you can't expect that to be on the network side. But that's a minor thing in comparison, of course, to the ultimate problem, which is data caps and connectivity issues in general. Maybe in 8 years, New York and Los Angeles, New Jersey, like Chicago, some of these data center heavy areas might be okay, where you can get these fiber 1 gig in both directions, whatever, and then hope that your uptime is also incredible. But I think that's personally, if I was a betting man, I'd be that's a hard pass for me. I'd be on the other side of the field saying, Not going to happen.
It would also be rip every video game store out there on the market.
Which is that's
bye-bye,
and
which
that's,
is inevitably probably going to happen
yeah,
eventually.
that's their problem to
Blockbuster,
like that's their problem to overcome. But from the industry perspective, I think there's some serious limitations that not even a decade is going to solve. I think we're looking at more like 15, 20. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to even see it in the States first.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be
when
in
our
like
kids are it's when our kids are like teenagers.
You're going to see this shit
when we're going, oh shit.
Yeah, in Korea first. You're going to see it in places where the internet is like for everyone and the connection is god tier. Like they'll be in like in places like Thailand and shit. Like they just had this god tier internet available to everyone for like $3 a month, and it's just uncapped and it's just pure unadulterated internet. Like that's where you see it first. The odds of this ever making it, especially when you got Fuckboy Slim, a Jeep Pie, I drink dog shit from a Reese's peanut butter cup mug, trying to like go in there and dick everything around and getting away with murder and collusion and God knows what other illegal shit he's been pulling off in the last while. You're a long way away from that going anywhere. So for me, consoles are here for more than another generation. I think when it comes to calling something another generation, it's that we just get more and more iterative, like a cell phone. So you're gonna get more of this Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. You go through the alphabet, and then we decide, 4 iterations later, all right, now it's the iPhone 6. Now we can start labeling it S and whatever again, and so on and so forth. That's more likely, and we started seeing shades of that, obviously, this generation, from everyone, pretty much. And I'm sure we're going to see it from Nintendo as well at some point.
We've gotten to the point where we can just get the Xbox again.
Yeah, like it's
on the end.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I think that's where we're headed. It's going to be less about dramatic changes. I can certainly see the market moving towards digital downloads being the majority. And that will certainly come along a lot better again when data caps aren't as big of a problem. And when console makers are putting more than a friggin' terabyte or 2 terabytes into a console, and then saying go buy an add-on external USB or buy your own hard drive, but it has to be of this specification, all this crap, and you gotta jump through hoops. Just give people a massive ass hard drive, and just or make it
terabytes.
Or make it just make it a SKU. Like why do we not have a 4 terabyte hard drive console right now that's just a SKU and you pay for it? Like just make it a SKU and be done with it. I just don't understand. So that will happen more than anything. But yeah, I think he's a bit ahead of the curve in that regard. If he is saying that it's the delivery of games more than anything, then I would agree that that's obviously the case. But so much of it, in fact, this entire conversation hinges on North American and more specifically U.S. internet. And without that, we are stuck perpetually where we are right now. So, I can't even count on one hand how many times in a week I see a streamer in the States crying about their internet being gone for like 3 days at a time, or that their connection just falls apart and is like sputtering and stopping.
We're just not there yet. We're just not there yet.
Jordan Soma just moved, and in his new city, I can't remember where he is now. He went from having great internet, and now he's stuck.
Vegas, isn't he?
Yeah, now he's stuck in Vegas with like just this super inconsistent, slow ass internet. So, it's just the way. It's just
it
the
all
way
depends on
it
like
is.
Again, they've been putting a lot of tech into the compression and the video. There's a lot of software and network tech that can help mitigate. There's a path to it, which is why I'm saying 5 to 8 years. But it all depends on how they go forward with it. Because sending a 1080p or even a 4K 60 stream is not that terrible if you have the compression right. So
it's just not going to happen anytime soon. If they even did it in 5 to 8 years, that's basically like iPhone getting rid of their headphone jack, and it's going to be a bad time.
And even people are going, maybe this wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. They're gonna go, and I can guarantee the other one. So say if it was Sony that did this, Xbox is gonna go, oh, we ain't following this motherfucking
Let me
suit.
bring that back.
And let's come on over to Xbox. And
All right,
everyone's
boys.
gonna go, okay, take my money.
I'm
Fuck
calling
this
it
internet
now.
bullshit.
Calling
Fuck
it
it now.
now. Technical Alpha episode 415, which is going to be E3 2025.
All right,
Calling
we'll
it right
see.
here,
That's when
boys.
it's gonna happen. On,
Yes.
Hey, I'll bet you an Xbox
is the
or a
C-
PlayStation.
Is the
I will bet you
CEO
whatever console they
I'll
go
bet
announce
you-
that year,
I will
Jeff.
bet you
Let's
whatever
go with
console
that.
too.
is the
All right,
But it
CEO
won't happen.
is the
Let's go with
CEO of OnLive going to be the one that gives the news, or is it going to be somebody else?
No, what they're going to do is they're going to hire an assassin because murder will be legal.
Of
They're going
course.
to kill the CEO of OnLive and then use his grave as the announcement platform.
Perfect.
Ooh.
That sounds like that's
Foul
a dystopian future. Maybe just cyberpunk it out and we'll make even more money.
Launch title for that platform will be Cyberpunk 2077.
Steam has made an interesting decision here in the last like 48 hours, whereby they have decided that Steam is going to be almost the Wild West, shy of a couple of rules in terms of what games can and cannot show up on Steam. They're taking this awkward, almost entirely hands off, except for when things get a little too real, and then they come in and pick and choose more directly. But otherwise, pretty much anything goes on Steam now. And this
That
is just
hasn't been the case.
and this is no, which is scary, huh? So, and this is just on the back of them having just recently shut down like a whole whack of like anime games that are just a bunch of like waifu simulators and then not even like a couple of days after that, now they're coming out and being like, yeah, you know what, just everything, just go for it. Personally, I think that's lazy as hell, and it's probably not. It's probably going to backfire really quick, and they're going to end up regretting this decision. But I just thought I'd toss that out there. What do you guys think is likely to happen when you just open it up to the internet? What kind of incredible content are we going to get on Steam?
I honestly, and I don't think we have to spend too much time on this.
No, this is a quick in and out.
I honestly don't give a flying fuck what goes on Steam. It doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. When I go to Steam, I go there for purpose. There's a game I want to buy, and I know it's on Steam. I'm going there to buy it.
As long as I
And
can
if
find
I
it.
want, well, I can find it via the search bar. That's pretty easy. And usually, any game that I'm buying is the most top 5 or whatever thing that's going on. As long as they keep the top 10 or whatever they got going on, or I can search via genre up at the top, or there's a little search bar and I can search it, I don't give a shit. Do I want to see them do it? Well, not really, because it is going to be spammy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect me at all. I think the only thing that it could affect are it could bury some of the smaller games that are legitimately good,
With the indie stuff.
like some good indie stuff that is getting just basically buried like a new streamer on Twitch via all the saturation. But once again, that's not Steam's problem. And if Steam is a platform that wants to make money, and a game is going to go through whatever little hurdles that there are to get on Steam, then it's going to be up to the developer, the publisher, to come up with some creative marketing to get their game out there. It's really quite that simple. Or they're going to have to pay Steam for like front page or however they do things. So at the end of the day, it's not really a Steam problem. But that's really the only negative thing that I can think of.
Yeah, my only thing is, and Steam mentioned that they're not going to push out these changes until they have the tools to kind of get around it, is that they took 2 approaches to it, which everyone jumped on the first part but didn't even bother listening to the second part. It's pretty much saying that, yeah, as long as it's not like straight up fraud or trolling or whatever, it'll be allowed on Steam. But you also have the counter right to be able to completely filter it out and have your criteria. So they want to improve what you can choose to expose yourself to on it. So that second part's been my biggest problem with the platform right now, because there's just so much shovelware crap that I really don't care about. If they give me the tools to filter out that stuff, I don't really care what they allow on the platform. They're kind of going with the we've tried curating it and everyone gets mad no matter what we do. So you know what? deal with it yourselves. We're giving you the tools to do it yourself. If you don't want to see it, it's not there.
Yeah, to me, I just don't even see how even the shitbox games that are being spammed on there all the time. I don't even see how that's a problem. Like I don't
Yeah.
even like
It just makes it noisy for some people. Like if they
It
want a clean
does,
shopping
but
experience, they don't
but
get
it's
that.
like it's like going to Google and saying there's just too much to search. It's like you're going there for purpose. You don't go to Google and go, you know what? I think I'm just gonna browse Google today. You go in there with purpose. You go in there to look at
Clearly
the
have not
most
seen
recent
Adam and I
Jennifer
on
Lawrence
Imager.
nudes, or to go and look at whatever, and you're gonna type it in there, and then they're gonna give you the content that you're looking for. It's not like it's.
You're
it's
saying
like,
you haven't gotten lost in the weird part of the internet, Jeff? Where that
on
one
YouTube,
Google search, Google search just kind of leads down the spider web.
On YouTube, I've definitely gone down that rabbit hole.
No. Where you've seen something on YouTube and then you're like, you know what? I'm a little curious now, and then you Google that phrase to figure out more about it, and then you go back to YouTube and you don't go down that rabbit hole.
I can honestly say I've never gone down that rabbit hole. I've gone down a video rabbit hole on YouTube many of times, but I have never in my life gone to Steam and go, you know what I feel like doing? I feel like just shoveling through 5,000 games to see what just piques my interest. And
I actually do that sometimes.
If there's people that do that, then you're going to look for that anyway. So you're gonna.
Well, that's the thing. Like
options.
I want a single player RPG. I'll try to use their filtering to find that. I want the better. What the hell is that? There's a word for it that I'm completely blanking on. It's really common. When you not exploring, when they expose it to you or whatever. God damn
like an experience.
Whatever, I'll find it out later. It's like when it's the exploration thing where it's like where they give you, like, if you're listening to music and they're giving you new artists and
suggestions.
Stuff that are similar. Suggestions would be one way to phrase it.
I'm whatever. It's a Steam.
I'm kind of in the same boat there. I don't care as long as there are very few. Personally, and this is again personally, from Steam's perspective as a company, what they do or what they allow or don't allow is obviously up to them. And it's not like I'm going to go out of my way to go searching for these things. And there's an argument to be made or for and against what I'm about to say here. But like, for example, one of the things that was a hot topic this week was a game called Active Shooter. It was literally just a school shooting simulator that was put on Steam. That's a hard no. Well, if I'm Steam, and I believe Steam got rid of it, but like that, if they can at least continue to do that, then I'm happy. Rapeplay should not be on Steam. It is a game specifically about raping girls. That's a bad life choice to be on your platform, because whether or not you say that the stuff that you see on this platform does not expressly, align with our views, political or otherwise, that people aren't going to care if you still leave that around and people are complaining about it, and you're like, well, we can't do it because if we did that, it would be setting a slippery slope precedent where we'd be removing games forever. Then I think now you're just being an idiot. So as long as they can still stay on top of those things, that's fine. All the shovelware bullshit, RPG Maker, Billy's Quest, whatever, like random crap you get.
Jeff's
that's fine.
game can be on Steam now.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are now open to making all your money off of those semen. It's just that's the way to go. That's the door has been opened. So yeah, that's pretty much my take. Is as long as they can keep on top of that stuff, then whatever. The rest of it's just whatever. I still think it's a bold move, Cotton, to just open the floodgates to the internet on that, but we'll see how it plays out for him. Hey guys, surprise here. Are you sitting down? Crackdown 3 has been delayed until 2019. I know that's shocking.
Again?
I know that's shocking, but here we are. Crackdown 3. All right, I know what my hot take is. Do you guys think this game is ever going to come out?
Yeah, it will. They'll eventually be like, all right, you guys just need to release it. Go.
I'll say sure.
I don't think it's coming out ever. I think this thing's dead in the water. This is like the third delay now, and it's not a small one, it's huge. And unless Microsoft decides to go against past policy, like what they do with Scalebound, where they just kept dumping money into a game that got delayed like 5 times, unless they go against what they did with that, then this game is never coming out. It's just not going to happen. And in all
Rip.
honesty, I just think if it was going to be out, it would have been out already, or at the very least, it would have been a push on for the holiday season. They're not even shooting for holiday season. They're just
Nah.
like toss that
Next year.
in like April. Just see what happens. So I don't even think that game's
Terry
coming out.
Cruz's retirement gift will be Crackdown 3's launch.
He'll have the disc that was stamped for gold. Like going to
Yeah.
gold, he'll have the only disc. He'll the
In his
master.
golden years.
And
yeah,
that's
he'll
it.
be like that crazy guy that was fucking that bought the only Wu-Tang album. That'll be
Martin
Shkreli.
Shkreli.
Yeah,
Shkreli.
that'll be
Once
Cruz.
upon a
He'll have
time
the
in
only
Shaolin.
copy of Crackdown 3.
Also, in random news, Shaq Fu that updated for the remake or the extension of the original, that's out now. So if you want to just spend some money, Shaq Fu, hit it up.
I'm good.
When's your Let's Play? When's your Let's Play?
My
Adam?
Let's Play of Shaq Fu coming to you to a theater near you right around the time that Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, because Fallout 76 was announced instead of Bethesda coming out and saying, "Hey guys, we know that we've been shoving Skyrim down your throat now for 5 years or more.
Yeah.
And it's on every platform, and we're running out of places to put it. But hear us out. We still don't have enough money to properly make Elder Scrolls 6. So we got to go back to the cookie jar on the Fallout universe and reuse some of our assets from Fallout 4 and hope that we can make some more money so that we can properly make Elder Scrolls 6. And so they did this live stream thing where they ran like they pulled a me, basically. They put out a starting soon screen on for like 24 straight hours. Except it was actually like 24 straight hours or some crazy nonsense like
I
that.
should have done 76. I missed an opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity missed. And then they showed this trailer, which was just a bunch of like country music and stuff that looked like Fallout. And then a dude puts on a jacket with 76 on it, and everyone's like, "Woo, Fallout!"
I honestly thought it was Overwatch when I first saw it. I was like,
Well,
Overwatch
unfortunately,
spinoff. Okay.
yeah, unfortunately for Fallout in regards to Soldier 76 is that Vault 76 has been part of Fallout lore since the original game. So
I was
just
so upset because I didn't realize I miscounted which vault it was.
yeah,
And I thought it was that other vault, like 77.
yeah, no,
I was so
that's
sad.
no. We get the vanilla vault on this one.
So for those of you that don't know, Vault 76 is the vault that was supposed to work exactly like described, and you come out and rebuild. Vault 77 was the one where it was really at, because the contents of that vault was one man and a crate of puppets.
That's the fire right there.
Ooh.
One man and some puppets. Let's find out how his psyche holds up there.
It was a supply. It had fully supplied for the full 1,000 people for however many years, but no other people other than the one guy got in.
That sounds like Mr. Rogers, except he got a TV show out of that gig. But yeah, so Fallout 76 is a thing. We're gonna see more obviously at E3, which is starting up this weekend. Bethesda's thing is on Sunday or Monday. I can't remember which one now off the top of my head. And apparently it's supposed to be, from what we've seen and heard, an online survival game, which sounds to me like Rust, but Fallout, which also sounds to me like bad. So yeah, so I know I mean I've played Fallout 3 and 4. Jeff, you played Fallout 3. I don't think you played 4, did you?
No.
So you probably don't give
I bought it. I think I bought it and I played a few hours. Like I remember, is that the one where you start off in a house and you got like a kid and there's like a birthday
Yes,
cake?
yeah, that's 3. And then you
All
beat
right.
it in like 4 hours because you managed to find like the last mission area immediately.
Yeah, no, that was. Yeah, no. I did beat that one. No, but I'm talking about 4. Like 4, there's like another like dream thing that happens at the beginning, and then there's like a mailman that comes to the door or something.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know. I
Why am
think maybe
I'm
I don't
dropping
know.
I'm dropping frames right now. The internet is randomly dying. Somebody must be downloading something crazy right now on Steam and not throttling what they're downloading. But yeah, so that's what are your thoughts on Fallout
I
but
just don't.
online? Like what an online survival Fallout game. What does that even mean? Like what does that really mean?
It's if they're doing it like Rust or whatever, Fallout is actually one of the only IPs out there that exists already. It'll be really well suited for it. But at the same time, we've all seen how early access survival games have generally been online.
Yeah.
So leave it to Bethesda. And if it's on Gamebryo, because they said they're using assets and stuff that they built from like Fallout 4, I
Of
don't have
course they
much faith
are.
in it. Yeah.
Why wouldn't that's what I was saying
Yeah.
at the beginning is they're trying to squeeze as much money out of their current assets as they can to ultimately, this is my theory. That's why we've been getting Skyrim on every console known to man and every platform is they're saving money to make the first game that's not on Gamebryo for the first time in 20 years, but they're going to have a lot of money to do it. And so that's my theory is that this is the last one. After this, we're going to get possibly like a Fallout 4 or a Fallout 3 remaster like we got with Skyrim. Maybe, but I think after this we're going to just basically get the announcement of the next Elder Scrolls.
I feel like they're gonna use the new id Tech engine and like try to do what EA's doing and like unify their studios under, because ZeniMax has got a ton of studios. They might try to unify under like the id Tech stuff to try to do like, you know, Elder Scrolls Fall, because they have a bunch of games that are similar that they can probably do pretty well on that engine.
Well, we'll see. But either way, all I saw was a bunch of very happy people about Fallout, which just, you know, I'm happy for you. We'll see. We'll see more come E3, which again is coming up soon, and we will have the spectrum of coverage that we can provide here, which is basically going to be myself through all the conferences that I can sit
With the
down
beige
for.
screen.
With the beige screen, and these gentlemen will hop in whenever they have a hot minute, and we'll give her a go. New Pokemon game, gents, a mainline RPG, 2019, with graphics.
This is not the other one, right?
No, this is not the one that's out now. This is the one that's 2019.
This is the one with the cute little Pokeballs you can physically use.
Yeah, you get like the Pokeball controller. It has it kind of hybrids with Pokemon Go for like features. It's not really a necessity, but it's there. And it's like called Pokemon Let's Go. And there's 2 versions, like every Pokemon game, because you have to be able to sell 2
No,
copies.
that's what I was saying. That's the one that they just. Is that the mainline RPG or
Yes.
is that the?
Yes, it's
Oh.
Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Or if you listen to the trailer, it's more like Let's Go Eevee. Eevee sounds like it strokes out when it says its name in the trailer. It's really weird. It doesn't even sound like Eevee. It's just some complete nonsense. But it's like Onyx basically, but slightly different. So yeah, that's coming up, and it looks pretty good. I mean, we didn't see a heck of a lot. It's a long way out, so they probably don't have all that much to show.
We didn't see a heck of a lot, dude. It was like a 3.5 minute
Well,
trailer.
well,
I
when
think
I
I,
say-
thought I
that
played
looked
the
like
whole
more
fucking
like
game.
that
But-
one looked like Pokemon Go more than anything.
Yeah, like
from what
we
I
saw
thought we were getting like a core level main.
we saw a fair amount of like combat, but we didn't really see a lot that we likely didn't already expect, aside from like, you know, the fact that you can do the drop-in co-op thing and throw Pokeballs simultaneously and, you know, stuff like that. But
Dude,
yeah,
give me Pokemon Stadium with Pokemon Snap in an actual Pokemon RPG, because you have the Switch now.
put them all
Do all of that
put
in
'em-
one game.
That's
Boom.
that's never gonna happen. Not a chance. But yeah, they've got that coming. And look, it finally looks like a proper extension of Pokemon for the first time since Oh God. What, the DS Pokemon games? Like, when was the last time there was any kind of revolution in the Pokemon games? I mean, hot damn.
Pokemon Go. That was
Pretty
that was it.
pretty much. So yeah, that's coming up. Again, we're likely to see more at the Treehouse event, which I think is on Tuesday coming next week. I'm sure we'll see more, or at the very least, we'll get more information
Yeah,
about
I mean,
that.
it looks good. It. I watched the whole thing, and for Pokemon lovers, it looks like it's a treat. Like it looks like it's going to it looks like it's going to be like what you said, an extension. Like finally there's something new here. And something practical. Looks like, you know,
Oh,
it's
I messed up apparently. So Let's Go is this year.
It's a super dinky one. That's
Gen
why I'm confused.
Gen 8 is next year. Okay, so I messed that up. But either way, there is like the mainline one
yeah.
is coming next year.
I'll just when I see it, like I can't get excited about Pokemon anymore,
Mm.
because I'm a 31-year-old male, and I just think Pokemon is extremely childish, and it hasn't matured with its like audience. It just kind of stayed for kids, which is cool. But I've kind of just there's this disconnect for me now. I'm sure, like even with Pokemon Go, I downloaded it. I got into the craze. I didn't even put that much effort in. I think I got like 8 Pokemon. So I didn't even use it much. I just kind of did just to kind of be part of what was going on. And even that to me just felt like I just felt like a moron just walking around, finding the same 5 Pokemon and watching everybody do the same thing. It was like it was weird. But it was cool. The first couple times I did it, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," and then it just bored the living shit out of me. Like
Talking
you
about
couldn't,
Pokemon Go?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you couldn't fight the Pokemon with other like people. You couldn't like battle. You couldn't do all the cool shit that
I
Pokemon.
mean, you can kind of do that now. It just took them a long time to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, but I was out before.
Yeah, of
I don't even know
course.
where it is now. I just clonked out. There was like a gym, and you could go there and try and take
Mm.
over whatever, but you couldn't fight anybody. Like you couldn't go up to somebody and be like, "Yo, I train these Pokemon. Let's duel. Like let's just go for it. Let's get competitive here." Because when you are 30 years old, I don't want to just skip around and I gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all, and then like have a fucking bunch of Clefairies in my goddamn phone and be like, oh, I'm having such a blast. You know what I mean? I get clonked out. Like in order for Pokemon to be cool for me, it has to mature a little bit. Like still keep the fun PG-13 or fucking PG element that you got, like PG-5 for all I care. Like keep it kiddie and keep it fun and cute and nostalgic, but just raise it up a little bit. Like you even saw like when I played Pokemon Stadium, it felt like a progression in terms of the maturity level, from playing it on Game Boy, where there was dueling and it just felt there was some stakes involved, and it's like, man, we've come up to the big leagues. Now we actually get to be the Ash Ketchum. This is great. But now it's just like, you know what? Let's just fucking hold hands and let's skip to the park and let's find a bunch of fucking Clefairies and Wigglytuffs or whatever the hell, Jigglypuffs, and that's the show. I want a real Pokemon game that is going to excite me. Where I'm gonna go, you know what, Adam? Like Adam's like, you know what, man, you got to get this Pokemon game because I know Adam has got a
You guys
hard on
want to battle
Pokemon.
each other.
Like, yo, we got to get this Pokemon game. I'm like, dude, I ain't fucking get no Pokemon game. But then if you're like, yo, we can battle. Like, we can go fucking, we can just see this crazy shit on screen. Like, I can see your Pokemon on one end, and I'm my Pokemon to that shit. And I've been downtown on the waterfront, just fucking my Charmander turned into a Charmeleon, and now it's a fucking Charizard. You have no idea. I got a Charizard waiting for that axe. Be almost like it's be like playing the card game where you can construct your own deck and you could try and outplay your opponent, and there was like this element of competitiveness. If there was that, where I don't know what the fuck you've been up to with your Pokemon. Like I've been taking naps in the afternoon, and Adam's been out in the fucking woods, training his Wartortle, and he's on the brink of becoming a Blastoise. He's like, let's go, bitch. And I'd be like, you know what? Fuck it, let's go. That's the only way I'm getting into Pokemon. That's the only way it excites me. But if we got to do
Jeff
this
rolling up on an
55 thing,
elementary school in a C63 with a Switch in his hand.
yeah, like motherfuckers, I'll pull up to the elementary school and bust these kids, right? I'll fucking make them cry. I'll kill their Pikachus. I don't give a fuck. But no, we always got to keep it kiddie, and it's just gay. Don't like it. It's boring.
Yeah, so I've never been like huge on the Pokemon games. I've just got like a bad itch for collectible card stuff, and Magic is too expensive, so I always just kind of stuck with Pokemon. And there's like this nostalgia factor for me with Pokemon, so it kind of ropes me in. Once every like 5-6 years, I'll go binge Pokemon cards. But yeah, with the games, after I beat Yellow, I never really. I had Pokemon Black because I bought it with the 3DS that I bought when Jeff and I were doing more traveling to like play on the planes and whatnot. And I played like a handful of hours there. I just was like, this is the same game
Boring.
I played
Yep.
when I was, 9, playing Pokemon Yellow on my Game Boy Color. Like,
Yep.
why am I playing this right now again? It's the same game, and
That's why you get something
it's
like Bravely Default though.
and it's been the same game forever. It's still pretty
Literally
much
the same game.
it's
literally
still pretty much the exact same game today, and obviously it's doing very well for them because they're selling
course.
ridiculous numbers of the games. But for me, I've never been a big fan of the game, so I'm hoping that whatever they've got coming up, in the pipeline, gets me more involved. I love Pokemon Go for different reasons. One, it was like a reason for me to get the hell out of the house and just go for a walk. Like I wasn't going specifically necessarily to play Pokemon Go, but it gave me more incentive to walk longer. Like instead of doing like a regular route, we'd be out walking for like 4
Dude.
straight hours just
Dude.
doing Pokemon Go.
I was in DreamHack Austin this weekend.
Mm.
I posted some pictures of the weather, and it was very moist in the sense that it was like 107 degrees. At like 9 or 10 p.m., it was, it had cooled down to like 95 degrees. A bunch of
Perfect.
people I was hanging out with, like Nathanius and a bunch of other people decided, hey, we're going to go out and go do Pokemon Go. And I'm like, what? Why? They're like, it's double XP at all the Pokestops, and there's like hundreds of them around us. And I'm like,
Nope.
I'm going to go to a place that's air conditioned and drink for a while because
Yep.
it's 95 degrees out. And they went for like 3 miles, apparently, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Like
no,
wandered
like
around Austin for it.
when it first hit, it was nobody can deny the phenomena that was Pokemon Go when it first hit. Everyone was outside playing Pokemon Go. People were doing the dumbest crap. They were walking off cliffs into traffic, driving off into riverbeds. Like just everything was Pokemon Go mania, and people were getting out and like meeting new people that never leave the house. Like they were like talking, like, and everything was great. And then Niantic just totally dropped the ball. They fucked the tracker up bad. The servers, bless Niantic's soul, could never keep up with the just unbelievable, unprecedented number of mobile users trying to connect to their servers at every waking moment of the day. And once I fell out of the habit with the game,
Bye-bye.
and they changed how the tracking works, which is still just catching Pokemon now is garbage in comparison to what it was like when the game first came out. And I understand why they have to do it the way they're doing it now. It's because the servers would literally explode if they tried to do it the old way. But that was why I liked the Pokemon Go in that iteration, is because it actually made you go exploring to find the Pokemon instead of just I'm going to go to this Pokestop, or I know it's pretty much just over here and it's done and it's whatever, and like, yay, I got my Pokemon. Instead of like I was going to places around where I lived where I'd never actually been before. I went off like because I had no reason to be there until Pokemon Go, and I'd just go for walks and it'd be nice outside, and I'd end up in locations I'd never been before, and it was kind of crazy. So yeah, it was an interesting time to say the least. But now I'm just out of the Pokemon Go game, and it's a huge grind, and the microtransactions are very, very real, indeed. But yeah, the new Pokemon game, we'll see how it pans out. The Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee thing is apparently, by the way it looks, is it's kind of like the Pokemon Yellow formula. Pretty much, you got Pikachu or Eevee following you around, but with graphics that look like they're just shy of N64, which means it's 1,000 times better than every other Pokemon game's come out before it. And we'll see what exactly the main line, whatever they, whatever that's going to be. We'll likely see more of that, I would imagine, at the Treehouse event next Tuesday. Battlefield 5 is.
They all need to learn how to friggin' count.
The trailer in Battlefield 5 or for Battlefield 5, if you go to YouTube right now, that link that's there, you just take a peek-see at two things. One, the like-dislike ratio.
So that
And then just read a couple of comments and just soak it up. EA has not done themselves very many favors on this one. A lot of people are complaining about the historical inaccuracy of just about everything that's in this trailer, which normally I'd say, you know what, guys, it's a video game. Just slow your roll. But when Call of Duty, whatever what they did here not long ago with the World War II thing came out, and people put them on blast for not having, some semblance of reality in the World War II era that they placed their game. EA was coming out saying that Battlefield was going to be historically accurate, and then we get this trailer, and there are some comments here that are golden because they go through almost like, Jeff, what's that YouTube channel?
The Cineflix, or
yes, they go through. So it goes through like you might even
everything that's wrong with fucking Battlefield in 15 minutes,
and they go through the trailer like point by point for all the crazy shit that's in this trailer. And there's a couple of beauties, and I saved one here that I want to read. Well, if you guys are watching the trailer, I'm gonna read this.
I watched the live.
Live thing on Twitch. Okay.
So I got the initial reaction.
This is one of my favorite comments I've ever seen on YouTube. Comes from Ben James. Okay, he says, this game is 100% historically accurate. My grandma and grandpa met when the two of them were fighting alongside each other on D-Day. Grandpa just picked up a katana he found on the ground after nearly getting hit from a jeep falling from the sky when in the corner of his eye, he caught sight of a woman with a hot pink face paint and a prosthetic leg. He wandered over to her, completely ignoring his friend's call for medical attention. If he could just get that fake leg after all. The two of them jumped on the nearest tank they found, my grandma driving it and my grandpa hanging from the top, one hand firing an MG42, and in the other painting some new emblems on his jacket, all while blasting out to use their exact wording, sick beats on the radio. Once they reached wherever they were going, they found a teddy bear and just strapped it onto the tank because why not? Yo, you see that shit? Yelled my grandpa as he shot down a plane with all of 6 bullets, but she couldn't hear him as she was busy bludgeoning somebody to death with a baseball bat. Unfortunately, because there was no distinctive uniforms on the soldiers then, and the Nazis didn't have swastikas on their uniforms, it was only when the fighting had calmed down did my grandma realize my grandpa was German. Bloody hell, old friend, she said, since she was a stereotypically British person after all. They covered it up now. They just say my grandma worked in a munitions factory and my grandpa just hung around with a few disgusting white males in some soggy, wet trenches. Glad to see their true stories are now being told.
Wow.
And that's pretty much a breakdown in story form of what this trailer is, what's going on in this trailer. And it's true. And I wouldn't have nearly as much of a problem with this if EA hadn't said that they were going to go for, historically accurate World War II. But they did. And they fucked up. Because the amount of just nonsense in this trailer, even for the sake of being epic, shit just does not even make sense. Stuff just getting crazy. I can look past the fact that there's a female fighting in this trailer. I can do that because
I'm going to be honest, I cringed a little bit when I saw the female
Now,
immediate, like, and then on
yes,
top of that,
yeah,
I had double cringe when I saw the
prosthetic.
female. No,
Okay,
I was whatever for the
okay,
prosthetic. All right,
okay,
I was
all
like
right,
whatever. All
okay.
right, that's not what did me in. Honestly, I got hooked up on the female, just going buck shit ham wild, and then at the very end when the trailer ends, and this was during the live stream, and they showed the actual, they revealed the front of the game, kind of like an NBA, like who's gonna be on the fucking
And it was
cover,
and it was the
and
woman.
it was the girl.
Yeah.
I was just, I dude, I was very, I anyway, I
Okay.
don't even want to say, I don't even want to talk, because if I do, I'm gonna have the Me Too movement on my ass, and it's the last thing I need right now.
Look,
So I was
look.
just done, man.
I didn't really care about all of that stuff. Like, I'm like, cool if they want to do that. All I really care about is I want to see what the gameplay looks like actually, and I want to see what they did with it. I don't really care otherwise.
There's some for me. So from my perspective, there's some line for me with artistic license with something like World Wars, because um they are significant global historic events that, when in a form like a video game, when there's going to be a generation of kids playing this that at this point may not even have grandparents that were in the war. Like they're going to be great grandparents who are long since passed away. To have not a particularly strong basis in what actually was going down, and then absorbing what they're seeing within this video game and extrapolating it, whether they mean to or not, as fact, there's like a weird line for me that I don't even know I could draw if I wanted to. So I wouldn't even force that upon somebody to attempt. But for me, that's kind of, they kind of like they're approaching whatever line that would be, they're kind of approaching it for me with this. There were women that fought in the war, obviously. There wasn't very many of them, and to my knowledge, from a legal standpoint in the States, women were flat out barred for fighting if they were American. Brits, I don't know. There might have been like some kind of like rogue, kind
Trust
of
his boys.
guerrilla, like some
Well,
guerrilla warfare type
Actual Europe,
fighters.
there were a lot of women fighters.
France,
who were
I'm
usually
pretty
resistance
sure.
fighters.
France, I'm pretty sure had resistance fighters that were women. I think probably had more than most countries, short of Russia. I think was another
Yeah, they had a
major
ton.
one. Like lots of like notable Russian snipers were women, for example. But like we're talking like that a tiny. So I don't. It's just. I feel like they're approaching it a bit odd, and then a lot of the stuff that we're just seeing, with this like the MG24 or whatever, one-handed, zero recoil, just
That was ridiculous.
just there's just limits for me, and the game pushed it. Again, it's a video game, and it is what it is, and I too am just interested in how the game plays, but. There are also kind of like what Jeff was pointing out when the woman was on the cover. You would never be able to convince me that that's not there for any other reason than to pander to the current
That's it.
socio-political climate that is currently going on right now. It's not for any other reason. They're not doing it because it's historically accurate, because it's not. They're not doing it for any other reason than to just try and get into the good graces of a super vocal minority that are just flat out headhunting for all the wrong reasons. And it's a bit silly. Now, I'm pretty sure the company or the guys, the developers for this, are Swedish. And
Bork.
again, somebody could correct me hard on this one, because I could be horribly wrong on this, but Sweden was pretty much neutral on that bad boy, that war. And so I don't know how in depth, personally, Sweden is versed in the realities of World War II. They certainly wouldn't have that many if they were in fact in that vein, they wouldn't have that many people who were physically in combat coming home. So families, in terms of the like, not at the scale, I guess, of like Canada or the U.S. or other countries involved, where and generations now are affected by the war. In terms of, my grandfather was World War II. All of his friends that were living in the area, many of them were tank corps. They were World War II. Like pretty much everyone my age or a little older, their grandparents and were just part of the war. And the stories, if you even are lucky enough to hear them, because not everyone's willing to talk about it for obvious reasons, they're not some sort of like Michael Bay extravaganza where you had John Rambo and like a girl jumping backwards doing a 360 nose scope with a sniper rifle headshot with like her prosthetic leg or whatever. Like there's no, like just this madness, like random falling vehicles out of the sky, a bridge that looks like it just goes over land for no reason but to be blown up. Just too much artistic license. That's artistic license in what ends up personally being for me kind of a negative spin.
I don't give a shit, honestly. Like they can go ahead and just do whatever. I don't think in any way are they deliberately trying to offend anybody that has any type of family connection to the World War. I mean, we've seen tons and tons of different renditions and reimagination of the events that happened during the war, the World War II.
But they were mostly pretty respectful to the actual, like the grit and actual happenings of the war.
Listen, we haven't played the game. We got a fucking trailer. All right,
yeah,
that's
we gotta see more.
We got a trailer. We have no idea what the missions are like, where we go. I know that it's supposed to be just completely. They're gonna be like updating content, so you're gonna do one type part of the war and then another thing part of the war and so on and so forth.
Give us that hour-long thing they did like Battlefield 1. So
I don't really care all that much. I mean, we've seen movies that have taken the World War II and have gone absolute batshit crazy with it. So to me, I don't even think, honestly, that's what people were complaining about. I think what people were complaining about is the fact that they said that they were doing something that was factual, and then they packaged this, and that's what they gave. I don't think the argument, or at least maybe that's your argument. You
that's why I'm just saying. That's why I'm saying. I'm not taking offense to it. I'm just saying personally, there's like a artistic license line for me, whether it's a movie or a game, when it comes to things like the World Wars, where because the further separated we are in the actual timeline from these events, the more I feel it's dangerous to play too much with the actual events for the sake of people actually knowing what happened versus just romanticizing it.
That's the school's jobs, right? I mean, schools have got to teach kids the proper history. EA, this isn't EA's job, right? EA is there to make a game that's entertaining.
No, and I'm not saying it is. Just personally, that's my thing.
But that my problem with the game at face value is just the whole woman thing. Listen, I don't care that there's a character that's running through a house, and then there's a tank that's going through the house, and then they're jumping, doing a somersault,
losing no speed. That tank going.
Exactly. Yeah, they're gonna do like a somersault out of this, and then they're holding guns the size of fucking Mandingo's dick, and they're just shooting the shit like their left arm strength is just fucking Jesus itself, just holding, spraying, and there's shit going all over the place. And I mean, it is absolute madness. And sure, okay, it's kind of entertaining to watch, where you're going, what the fuck? This is something that I would see in a Michael Bay film times 10, where you're even going, Michael, calm down. But then on top of it, you got a woman that's fucking that doesn't got like an arm, and it's a woman in World War II, and it's being shoved down your face.
I'm not even joking.
Show me Battlefield. Show me Battle Royale. and it's all forgiven.
I'm
You know,
I'm not even joking when I say that I'm surprised. This isn't for the sake of a joke. I'm surprised that at least one character in that trailer did not overtly describe their sexuality in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
you know what's gonna happen in the
it's
campaign.
the only remaining thing. We hit like 5 different races in that
Oh,
trailer. We hit
it was all there.
we hit the disabled. We hit the female contingent. We just everything at once. The only thing we didn't get was the I like dick and vagina.
Yeah.
They just
and
like
you know what, at the end, the girl should have, when she was doing her epic pose and shit, and there's like fucking jets and shit flying overhead or whatever the fuck was there. If she would have just gone down and looked at the screen and said, "Hi, I'm Natasha, and I identify as a male. Battlefield." I'd have been like, "That's it, man. Like, that's it. I'm done. I'm fucking done.
I would have. That would have been the greatest. The greatest
I would
end.
have pre-ordered the game.
Oh,
right
absolutely.
there.
Oh man.
Pre-ordered. I would have pre-ordered 2 copies. One just to have sealed, just to put in my collection, and the other one to play the shit out of, because that's a game I want to buy. Like, if you're gonna go that far, like just
go the whole
break
way.
the 4th wall.
Yeah.
Look at
Embrace
the
it.
screen, tell everybody that you're a fucking woman, or you're a man woman, or you're a woman that identifies as a man, and you kick ass and take names, and you're in the war, and deal with it. And I've got a prosthetic arm that's like fucking Captain Hook, and I kill people with it. Fucking deal with it. That's it.
It's so like that was the last thing that I in that trailer. I was like, man, and I wonder if I look hard enough if I could find like an Easter egg. There's like a rainbow badge on somebody. They're just wearing it instead of like the SS or whatever armband. It's like they get like a rainbow armband or some shit just in time for LGBTQ2A plus month.
I was supposed to be at EA. I was actually supposed to fly out today. I was supposed to go. But there was this big car event that was happening, and then they said that the car event was getting canceled, and the rain date was to be up for the 9th, and it rained, but they said, you know what, we're going to cancel the rain date, and we're just going to have the car event anyway. And so when I told EA that, hey, I can't go because I'm part of this thing, then literally the same night, they were like, guess what? We're actually gonna hold the event anyway. So now I wasn't able to go to Hollywood. I didn't really want to travel for 5 days anyway, but I would have.
I want to clarify that I don't have a problem with women or the sexually fluid whatever thing in the video game world or whatever. My problem is that when companies are so obvious about their using it for their like
marketing.
That's my problem here.
It's not a marketing thing.
My
it's
problem
the new gay
is
thing, right? It's the new gay thing. Like when being gay was cool, like when it was like, and I don't mean that in a negative way. When coming out and being gay and telling people that you're gay was like starting to become accepted, and if you didn't accept it, you're an asshole. And it was like, you know, gay this, gay that, gay. Like that's the games, movies, everything. We're hopping on that bandwagon. Like, guess what? The twist is our main character's gay. Like, it's like, woohoo! Who cares?
Congratulations!
Like, congrats! And now it's like that with women. Everything is women. I'm gonna go see Ocean's 8 tomorrow. All women. All women. Ghostbusters. All women. You name it. It's just women. Star Wars. Women. Kathleen Kennedy. Woman. Women, Battlefield, women. It's just, we get it.
Like there's no real contextual reason for it to be that way, except for pandering to that specific movement.
There's nothing wrong with having a strong woman as a lead in anything. In fact, nobody's going to say anything about it. Like, look at something like Wonder Woman or something where it's not just a woman for the sake of being a woman. It's just, we all know what I'm trying to say here. There is no reason to have a woman be put it. Listen, if this was Battlefield, some new futuristic Battlefield or whatever, and it was a woman in the as the main character, and she was kicking ass, taking names, I'm sure we would probably say something just because of where we're at right now in society in terms of how much of this women thing we're getting shoved down our throats. Like they're equal, they're just as strong, they're just as fierce, they're just as, it's me this, me too, me that. I'd probably mention it. But to be honest, if it made sense and it was part of the story, like it really made sense for the story, I don't think anybody would really say anything. In fact, I think people would legitimately praise to going, wow, you know, this is cool. The whole revealing of a woman thing hasn't been cool since Metroid, right? When we all found out that the main character was female, that was when everybody was going, whoa, holy shit. This is crazy. Now it's like, it's predictable. It's like you put in a woman, it doesn't hold that power like you think it is. It's like it doesn't.
There was like this really small window of time where in the video game world, women being strong leading roles, they were kind of like that way, but for good purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it just like just switched.
Yeah.
And now it's just it's joined up with the movies and everything, and it's just gone bonkers. And again, it's for me. The problem is pandering. It is not about it's not about the fact that I want every movie and every book and every video game and every recording artist to be male, because that's boring as shit. But I just don't want it to be about pandering for the sake of it, because I feel like that's counterintuitive to the idea of putting these strong female roles in place in the first place, because it devalues the legitimate ones. Instead, you just get plastered with all this frivolous whatever the fuck, and then when a real one comes along, it gets kind of like
it's not
lost.
Appreciated
it's
anymore.
not appreciated anymore.
Yeah,
like your first,
yeah.
you know, and a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people will have like the reaction of, oh God, here we go. You know, here we go again. Is this really a you know, a strong female lead that's like proper and with value, or are we just doing this so that we can recreate some 80s comedy with as many women as we can possibly cram in to the film? Like, that's unfortunate.
And I love women. I love women. I just love a woman. I mean, Jesus, I'm as straight as they come. I love them. But man, oh man, stop infecting everything that I love with more women. It's like, you know, I'm not asking the female character to always have to be the damsel in distress, the woman that needs saving from a man. For Christ's sake, I shit you not. For those that did not see this, the new animated movie, The Incredibles, Wreck-It Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph 2 that just came out. Dude, watch the preview, okay? Wreck-It Ralph number 2 comes out, and they go into the internet, and they meet all of the Disney princesses, right?
Okay.
So the co-main character is a glitch. And
this was another one of those like, hold my beer, we're gonna do a crazier crossover type thing.
It is a crossover. I don't know how big of a crossover it is, but you go in there and this glitch, who's a female character, and this movie was all about Ralph. Like, it's Wreck-It Ralph, right? It's Wreck-It Ralph, okay? And now it's like this glitch. This female character has pretty much got the entire trailer. They get dropped into all the Disney princesses, and then the last line of the trailer is one of the Disney princesses asks the glitch, and she goes, "Oh, hey, are you a woman that is also portrayed like you need saving from a strong man?" And then the glitch is like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, you really are a Disney princess." And it was all about this, hey, you're a woman, but are you also portrayed like you always need a man's help and you need saving from a male? That's the last line in the trailer. Watch the trailer, Wreck-It Ralph 2, which I'm still looking forward to because I love the first Wreck-It Ralph, and I'm gonna go and watch the movie. But go and watch the trailer. I'm telling you, it's the last line. You're gonna cringe. You're gonna cringe. It's everywhere. You can't escape it. It's in everything I love. When is Panic or Adam going to come out and say, Jeff, I don't appreciate being called a man. I'm a woman now, and I'm done. And everything in my life is over.
Jeff, I'm going to stop you right there. But with the amount of passion that you have about this, is there anything that you want to tell us right now? This is a safe space. I know you're projecting on Adam and I right now, but is there anything you want to tell us?
I'm going to go out of my way and say it's definitely not a safe space. This is the opposite of a safe space in here. I am. It's so warm in here. I don't know if the stream can kind of see it.
I can see your
I'm
sweat.
sweating it up, but I showered just before.
And I'm wearing a jacket here.
Just before this podcast, and for the first time ever, I'm hoping it's not my antiperspirant, but I actually had like a rash or something underneath one of my arms, and so I had to go without antiperspirant, and it's 25 degrees Celsius in this room right now, so I'm getting a nice little sweat on sitting still. If I get too passionate about one of these topics, I'm just gonna start looking like, what's that guy on Joe Rogan podcast, the old fat like Italian
Joey Diaz.
Yeah, that dude who I don't know how he even stays hydrated. I don't know. He must not have to piss ever because the moisture that comes out of that man is legendary. But yeah, we get too passionate here. That might be me. E3 approaches. Last topic before we move over into movies and TV. E3 approaches, as we all know, it's coming up this weekend, moving into Tuesday's the last day of technically E3 because of the Nintendo Treehouse. And a lot of games, I just had this written down because it's just a thought that I had. Depending on how much you've been keeping up with it, a lot of games for E3 have already been announced. Like Sony came out with pretty much everything they said that they're going to be talking about at their presser. Microsoft's been doing kind of similar things. Nintendo's been doing kind of similar things. We've already gotten a lot of trailers and everything. We haven't even hit E3. And so for me, the two things that enter my mind are, does this mean less surprises overall, which would be disappointing because that's half the fun of E3 is getting surprised by something in the first place. It kind of just ruins the hype when you start ramping, tossing that stuff out before the show even happens. Or does it mean that there are bigger things coming that needed more time at the conferences and they're just clearing the way for some of these unmentioned things? What do you guys think? Do you think we're just going to get a really dry E3 where they've gotten rid of all the surprise? Or do you think that they're clearing up some space for some heavier hitting surprises on the show floor?
They're coming in with sandpaper, boys.
What grit?
I'll give it maybe 100. I'm not going to go down to 80.
All right. Okay. Well, 100 is pretty good. I mean, you could wipe with 100 and only bleed for like 2 days, so that's not too bad. That's all right. Okay. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, I wish that there's going to be some huge mind-blowing announcements that'll get me excited, but my heart is telling me it's going to be drier than a nun's cunt.
Great. I hope too that it means that there's something, and I don't need like a lot, but I do. E3 for me is half about being surprised by something during these events. Like, it's the one time a year where developers can really and truly surprise me with an announcement of some kind, and gives me something to look forward to for the next usually 365 days in gaming. And so I'm hoping that's the case, but yeah, I kind of agree that part of me feels like maybe it's just going to be really dry and it's kind of standard. But if there was one group that can't do that, that's Microsoft. Microsoft literally can't afford to have a stale E3. So if they don't come out with something earth-shattering, they're dead. Like, I'm actually going to start to fear for Microsoft's Xbox division. Honest to God. They're getting destroyed market share-wise for the entire time, plus PS4 has VR. So, like, the mind share, the market share, the tech, it's all in Sony's favor. The games, everything's in Sony's favor. It's going to take them years to dig themselves out of this hole. And if they don't start now, I don't even know how they plan on getting out.
I need to hit pause for a moment. This might just be me being tired, but has the new Xbox actually come out yet?
The X? Yes. That is a thing.
Why do I not remember it at all?
That's a great question. Mostly because there wasn't all that much fanfare about its
Oh.
release, so that's probably part of it.
Okay.
Personally,
I was like thinking, I'm like, I know they had announced new hardware. I'm like, did that actually ever come out?
I mean, you know, we're gonna see Halo. You know, we're gonna see probably Forza or Gears. I want, even though I'm not like the post Fable 2, I'm not a huge Fable fan. I think Microsoft needs a Fable announcement, like something of that magnitude.
They need their equivalent to Horizon Zero Dawn.
And not even because it's going to sell a lot of consoles, but it's just something that would get people like talking positively about the Xbox for the first time in a while, because the Fable fan base is very much strong. They do need a Horizon Zero Dawn. That game is so fire, it's fucking crazy. And on Sony's platform, I want to see them announce a sequel to that bad boy, because that game is
Hell, they
one of
even
my.
have the IP for it. Like, if they reimagine Fable in that vein, you can have a pretty solid game.
Yeah, it's I don't know what they're gonna do, because yeah, Sony's just got so many good games. It's actually
Yeah.
scary. They just loaded with good games. So we'll see. It's coming up. We'll
Yep.
see. It's coming up soon. Mr. Maximus Black,
versus Goliath.
Yeah.
hit me up with a little jingle jangle for movies and TV.
We got some movies and TV. It's been almost 2 weeks.
Huh? And because it's been almost 2 weeks, I'm just giving this all up to you, basically. The only thing I thought of off the top of my head that we might want to cover would be the fact that, what's her name, Kelly Marie Tran from Star Wars, basically got chased off of Instagram because the world is dark and full of retards.
Daisy
who
Ridley got chased off Instagram too.
somehow, the internet has decided that an actor that can only portray what's given to them with a script that they themselves do not write is the sole reason why that character sucks, and why, and the fact that it's a detraction from the movie for them as a viewer or something, and that all came down on her head in like the dumbest. And Ryan Johnson is not catching this heat, which pisses me off, because that dude,
Him and the writers deserve the
dude
heat for that.
fucked that movie up so hard. I don't know how he could have made it a hell of a lot worse, honest to God. But here we are. So if we have hot takes on that, go for it.
Yeah. So, I'm sure a lot of people know this already, but I'll just quickly go through it all. Disney buys Lucas. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They come out with Force Awakens with J.J. Abrams. Force Awakens, massive success. One of the biggest movies of all time, made a shit ton of money. And even the people that kind of didn't like it because they're a Star Wars purist, and that's just like prequels are dead to them. It's just the original trilogy. They were even happy because it was way better than the prequels, anything in the prequels. And it wasn't a complete and utter mess. And I think it's mainly because it was basically A New Hope, but reimagined for the next generation, which was totally fine for an introduction to the new trilogy. Then, also, the biggest and most important part of all this is Kathleen Kennedy, who is, once again, female. But to be fair, she worked pretty much exclusively with Steven Spielberg her entire career. She's been part of some great films. She's a very competent person to run. Well, at least, at when before all this started, right? Because Kathleen Kennedy was praised. I mean, when Force Awakens came out, she was praised. I mean, and rightfully so. She came in, did a great job, got all the crew together, and created this new trilogy, and was basically the overlord of all the stuff that was going on. So here's where Star Wars, in my opinion, fucked up real bad. J.J. Abrams, when he was done The Force Awakens, he wanted a break. He promised his family, I need to spend time with my family. J.J. Abrams was doing all the Star Trek shit. He went right into Star Wars. He was working on Star Wars for a couple of years before the movie even came out. Obviously, It's a big ordeal. It was, and then he filmed Star Wars. And obviously, when you're filming something of such, we also got to realize we could go back to where Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out, the anticipation for this film was probably the most anticipated movie ever. I mean, we're talking like this is bigger than Infinity War. This is bigger than Matrix Reloaded. This is bigger than Lord of the Rings. This is bigger than Harry Potter. This is like I actually can't think of a movie in my lifetime that is as big as this. This is
in terms of anticipation, you mean?
Anticipation, right? Because people love the IP so much, and they've grown.
And they knew the original cast was going to largely be part of the film.
Was coming back. We all know that the prequels was not so great. Some people love them still. Some people are kind of indifferent, and a lot of people hate them. But people also knew that there was redemption here. And it was like, I don't even know how many years, like 13, 14 years since we had gotten a Star Wars movie. And our bodies are ready. George Lucas was away from the product. It was in Disney's hands. Disney's crushing the box office. J.J. Abrams is the one that's helming this. J.J.'s a massive fan of Star Wars. All right. We don't know too much. Well, the real heads know quite a bit about Kathleen Kennedy. But and George Lucas handpicked Kathleen Kennedy to do this. When he sold it, that was basically a contingency. You can have it. Kathleen Kennedy's taken over. This is going to be the show. Everybody's excited. Then the movie comes out. It's amazing, right? Or it doesn't suck, okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't suck. It does really well. Expectations are either met or blown away by the vast majority of people. JJ says, I need time. Disney goes, no, we need more Star Wars, and we need more Star Wars. Like the iron is hot. We need it. We need to get in there and we need to do it. Jay's going, listen, guys, as much as I want to do this trilogy, I want to do all three. All right. This is my story. I know where it's starting. I know where it's ending. I want to do this, but I need time to spend with my family. They're like, no, we can't do it. Sorry. All right. Let's call Ryan Johnson over. Ryan Johnson comes in, and Kathleen Kennedy, and before she got in, there's an actual interview with her and George Lucas. And it's almost like this interview for the world, saying, hey, what I'm going to do, and I'm paraphrasing what Kathleen Kennedy said. She said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to respect Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan, and I am going to explore the vast universe of Star Wars, but I'm also going to respect the characters and stuff and that you all love here. So basically what she was saying is, I'm going to pay tribute and I'm going to do right by the old Star Wars fans, but we are super excited to go into a galaxy far, far away and just explore what we can do with Star Wars. And people are just like, yes. The only thing you need to do is not fuck up our characters that we love. Just give them a proper sending off, so to speak. All right. The Force Awakens comes out. They kill off Han Solo. Spoiler alert. All right. If you don't know that, then you're not a Star Wars fan. He's dead. And people are like, you know what? Harrison Ford did not want to be part of this anymore anyway. He hated playing the character. He was over it. We all knew that this was going to be the show for him. And his death actually kind of worked with the plot, so to speak, and it helped Kylo Ren's character. But the only negative thing that people were really saying about it is Luke and Chewie did not get a moment, and Leia did not get a moment to kind of share the screen with him. I know that Leia did, but they all didn't get to do that. And also, we didn't get to see Luke Skywalker and Chewie really mourn for their friend. We didn't get to see this after so many years. That was the negative, okay? But shit happens. The Last Jedi comes out. Now, Ryan Johnson comes in, and here's where they fucked up majorly, is Ryan Johnson wanted to do something else, and J.J. Abrams wanted to do something else. And what they did is they are allowing, what Kathleen Kennedy allowed them to do was say, you go make a movie, you make a movie, and then we'll try and connect these in some sort of way. And they were not on board. They were not on board. They were supposed to have Favreau do the second, or the Last Jedi, or I think it was Last Jedi, and he got scrapped because they couldn't agree on a script or whatever. Ryan Johnson
needed
comes
him
in
for some Marvel stuff also.
that too. But anyway, I also know that Mark Hamill spoke in depth about how him and Favreau were on the same page in terms of what the character was going to happen. And then when Rian Johnson came and they killed off Luke Skywalker and he never got to, and we won't even go into the full details because we've already talked about how shit of a movie The Last Jedi is. Fucking horrible, just absolutely horrendous, and completely shit on our past, our love of our characters, to the point where our Mark Hamill, who is one of the most loved people in Hollywood, like, you know, a guy that has kind of stayed true, has never really became a jaded asshole, never became this he's a star, but not in the same sense of a lot of other movie stars. Like, people almost feel like Mark Hamill's their uncle that they could go to and, like, you know, have a beer with and chill, but yet he's still super successful and down to earth, and you got to see his career kind of blossom, but still kind of stay contained. He never really sold out in the means, never went and did things crazy, stupid shit for paychecks. It was like the Joker and Luke Skywalker. That's it. And if you fuck either one of those characters up, you're gonna get it. And Star Wars got it right in the poop chute. And now, after The Last Jedi came out, which was still a successful film, still made shit tons of money, didn't make as much as The Force Awakens, but the worst part about it is where we're starting to get into now, is now we have a massive divide, and the Star Wars community is super fucking pissed. I mean, we are talking some serious hatred to the point where what's her face?
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yes.
I think.
She's been dealing with a shit ton of harassment on the internet to the point where she deletes all of her photos off Instagram because people are bombarding her. Now, to be fair,
Daisy
like Adam
Ridley
said,
did the same thing actually a couple months ago.
There you
Same
go.
reason.
There you go. And the worst part about it is, it's not just how they treated the characters, because they treated the characters absolutely, like, Mark Hamill was like fucking crying on set. He was so distraught about what they're doing to his character, and people are angry about this. And not only that, is they also, because of Kathleen Kennedy, and she's a woman, and she's got all, and she's Disney on top of that, they're pushing a lot of these social agendas. They're pushing the female thing. Now with this is where we get into the Solo. So the Solo movie comes out, it bombs. It bombs so hard, it's almost inconceivable. You're going, what in the almighty fuck? They couldn't even break. It was like $84 million opening weekend for and a movie that cost them over $300 million to make. They filmed the vast majority of this movie, fired the directors because Kathleen Kennedy just can't get along with people that don't share her same ridiculous vision, and then refilmed a shit ton of it, hired on an acting coach for the lead, and basically blamed it on him. I feel bad for this guy, because all the bad press, they basically put it on him. And then when I watched the movie, he's like the best part of the entire movie. He's actually a really good Han Solo, and he's not the problem. The problem is that people got burned so bad on The Last Jedi that they went on this boycott, and they went on this epic, like, fuck you. We also didn't ask for a Han Solo film. We didn't ask for this. We didn't want this. Now they're talking about doing a Boba Fett movie. We don't want a Boba Fett movie. We never asked for a Boba Fett movie. Boba Fett doesn't even really talk. I think he's got like 3 or 4 lines in all of Star Wars.
I'd rather see freaking Jango Fett.
Exactly. Like, the stuff they want to do is crazy, and the backlash is insane. So rumor is Kathleen Kennedy is done. This is the rumor that's coming out, and she's supposed to part ways in September, but nothing has actually come up. So the fact that Han Solo bombed so hard, the fact that The Last Jedi was horrible, they need to make some serious changes. For the first time, I mean, since almost forever, Star Wars have been wishy-washy. There's been people that have loved prequels, hated prequels. There's always been this war. But now that the internet is the internet, and back even when the prequels wrote, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have all these things. and now there's this mob mentality of this this witch hunt mob mentality where people are just angry and they're lashing out at the actors, and the actors are not the ones that are writing the scripts and that are being directed, that they are directed to be a certain way. This poor woman was going out there. She was, and she's like one of those people that always has a smile on her face.
She's super bubbly.
She's
so
just a
bubbly.
good person.
Yeah, it's like it's
she
almost like everybody,
she almost doesn't belong in Hollywood. That's like the kind
Exactly.
of person that she is.
Everybody at every job, one way or another, somebody has worked with somebody that is just so happy and bubbly all the time that you couldn't break their spirit. And when they're crushed and when they're crying, you almost want to cry for them, because you know that it's got to be something serious that's going on that breaking their spirits. That's this kind of chick. Every interview I've seen with her, and I'll be honest, I didn't like her character.
It's not her
I thought her
fault.
character. It's not that she
not her fault,
portrayed
yeah.
the character poorly. She did a great job acting in it and whatever. Yeah, her character was pointless in my opinion. I didn't think it was a needed thing. Whether she was there or she wasn't there, it wouldn't have really impacted the film. I don't know what they're going to do with her character in episode 9, but from The Last Jedi standpoint, yeah, it wasn't really needed. But there was also a shit ton of stuff in that movie that wasn't needed. And what definitely isn't needed is people going out and trying to destroy people's careers, so to speak. And it's wrong, it's hateful, it's childish. As Adam put it, it's retarded. It really is. It's not fair. And if anybody needs to get mad at anything, they need to get mad at Disney and Kathleen Kennedy for the decision making that has been going on there. And the only way it's going to change is if Kathleen Kennedy steps down and they start listening to the fans in terms of what we want. And before I let you go, Panic, because I know I've been going, but because I've just been drenched in all of the Star Wars stuff. I've been reading up on it and going crazy and listening to all this other shit. And what Star Wars, in my opinion, needs to do is they need to just, what Kylo Ren said, they need to let the past die. They need to, because when Disney spent $4 billion to buy LucasArts, they needed to go, okay, we're going to grab our big characters and we're going to try and milk as much money as we can out of these characters, because we just spent $4 billion. We need to make some money. So understandably so. But if you're going to use them, you got to at least pay tribute and respect to those characters, not destroy them in front of your audience. And on top of that, you have got an entire universe, an entire sandbox
of stories you can tell.
We don't even have to go back to the Knights of the Old Republic. We don't have to go back to the Skywalker family. We don't have to do any of that shit. You've got an entire universe. So why are we playing in the exact same sandbox with the same sand over and over again when you could literally do whatever the fuck you want? It's 2018. The amount of imagination and storytelling and characters and CG and practical that you can do, you're just not doing it. I don't know why. It's insane. I digress.
All right. So I don't have much. I agree with pretty much what you said. The main part where, people remember me, I was the only one in the podcast group who actually ended up sort of liking Last Jedi. But now with this whole like Rose thing and the whole like thing, I actually had a pretty interesting idea, which I feel like it makes a lot more sense to me now. Rose as a character, I think, was just poorly placed in Last Jedi. I feel like you said, they have this whole sandbox and characters and things that they can explore and create in. It would have been better if that entire casino scene didn't happen in Last Jedi. I felt like I was watching a different movie.
Yep,
but the stuff it raised was actually pretty interesting, like the nature of the actual conflict between the Republic and the First Order and all of that. If they had given Finn his own movie later to explore that theme with like that casino setup with a movie around that, exploring the conflict as a whole, kind of like one of those like war documentary style, like just bigger picture pieces. I feel like Rose as a character and other characters around that would have fit in better, rather than trying to like ham in a bunch of characters in The Last Jedi when they couldn't even handle the ones that they had properly.
I don't feel like we need a standalone movie with a casino. I just feel
Oh
like
no, not around the casino, but like that scene would have been better in some other Star Wars movie.
Yeah, like
not
I
in this
mean,
one.
listen. We're in a this is the trilogy. All right,
Yeah.
this is the big
It
bang.
didn't belong in
This
the
is-
trilogy.
You can't fuck up these movies. You just
Yeah.
you fuck up these movies, and the whole it's a domino effect.
falls
Everything just starts collapsing, and that's what happened with Han Solo, the Solo story. It fucking bombed. They spent over $300 million on just making the film. That's not even advertising and all this other nonsense that goes. They're gonna lose. It's reported they're gonna lose 50 million plus by the time this thing is done. I mean,
They're
this
just
is
churning
an
them out too
absolute-
fast.
This is just well, and the thing is, I don't even think they're turning them out too fast because
I think because what they've done is they've been doing main story movie, off story movie every year.
yeah.
And I feel like, and you can see Solo was the one that kind of ran into the production problems, and they didn't have time to correct it, which like kind of threw everything off.
I just don't think people wanted the Solo movie. I mean, I did you see the Solo movie?
I have actually going to see it.
There you go. You didn't even go see the
I'm
Solo
going on
movie.
Monday.
No,
been
I'm not
busy.
saying I'm not
Yeah.
attacking you. I'm just telling you that's what that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
If this movie, like if this was like an Obi-Wan movie, right?
Oh, I'd be all over that
the
shit.
Star Wars fans have been asking for, right? The only character that people legitimately want to know more about. The only one. We don't care about Boba Fett. You know, put Boba Fett in a movie, but we don't need a movie around Boba Fett.
I would just like to say that I would like a Qui-Gon Jinn movie. I don't know if anyone else does, but I just want to
I'm
toss
down for
my
that
hat.
too.
I just want to toss my
Qui-Gon
hat
Jinn-
in. All right, go ahead.
Qui-Gon Jinn's pretty good.
No,
but-
if you
but
watch-
Obi-Wan, people
if you
just
watch Clone Wars, like the whole animated thing that they did with George Lucas's blessing,
Yeah.
the character dynamics make Obi-Wan and Anakin, all those other characters, so much more interesting that I was originally like, I wasn't really on board with an Obi-Wan movie, but then I watched Clone Wars and I'm like, yeah, I really
Well,
want
I'm
an
not gonna
Obi-Wan movie.
Well, I'm not going to spoil anything for Solo because you haven't seen the movie, and I'm sure there's a ton of people here. Obviously, the box office has said it that haven't seen the movie, so I'm not going to spoil it. But there is something at the end of Solo that attaches itself to a possible Obi-Wan movie, in so to speak, and that's all I'll say about that because of the Clone Wars. Because I know about the Clone Wars, and a lot of people don't watch Clone Wars. I don't even watch Clone Wars, but I just kind of knew from keeping up on.
Clone Wars and Rebels
on
were
stuff.
actually really good. I highly recommend them.
But to get back to it is nobody wanted the Han Solo movie, right? They just came out with Han Solo because it's a big iconic character. Like it's almost like if they wanted to do a Luke Skywalker movie. It's you're only going to shoot yourself in the foot trying to make another Harrison Ford and go through all this. We've done it, right? We don't need to know anything more. The character has had its opening and it's had its closure, right? For the main character. For Christ's sake, Harrison doesn't even want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. So just let it go. You've got so much to do. There's so much. I don't believe in Star Wars fatigue where there's too many movies. You look at something like Marvel. Marvel's cranking out 3 or 4 movies every single year, and they're not having
Are they
any
really?
problems. Yeah,
you
dude.
sure?
Yes.
I
Black
thought they were
Panther,
gonna, like,
Infinity War. We've got what else is coming around the
Ant-Man.
corner?
It's because they have
Ant-Man,
Marvel. That's the thing, though. Marvel has so many like mini franchises within it.
It's
like, you
all
don't get-
Marvel. It's all
Yeah,
superhero.
but you don't get like,
It's all in
fresh
the same
flavors.
universe. It's all in the same universe. You could do the same thing with Star Wars. You could make a Star Wars Episode 9 and then have another movie that came out, kind of like Rogue One. Rogue One was a massive success. I mean, Rogue One fucking
I love Rogue
crushed.
One.
It was
love
great.
Rogue One.
You know why? Because it was a good movie.
Yeah.
The thing is, nobody really knew what the fuck Rogue One was about. It just had Star Wars slapped on it. The hardcores knew, but the vast majority of the moviegoers had no idea.
I
what
love Rogue
this
One.
was
It's one of
about.
my favorite Star Wars movies.
And look what they did for Darth Vader. In my opinion, probably the best lightsaber scene I have ever seen in Star Wars, at least for
it's
it
one
being
of the
impactful.
best scenes in Star Wars.
In
Period.
Star Wars, period. And what's beautiful about it is it tied into the old the old Star Wars without kind of having this cloud of fuckery all
No,
over
effectively, it fixed the problem with the old Star Wars, because effectively they've been portraying Darth Vader as this giant badass for decades, but they never were able to properly convey why he was such a badass on screen. Because effectively, the original films are just old people swinging sticks.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
This time they finally captured it. You're like, okay, no,
And-
this guy's not a freaking joke.
And that's why people wanted in The Last Jedi, if they were gonna get rid of and J.J. Abrams' plan was not to kill Luke Skywalker off in the second movie.
He was gonna kill him in the third.
He was going to kill him in the third, in episode 9, right? And we all know that Luke Skywalker would have gotten a proper fight. The baddest Jedi of them all, right? The guy that got bested essentially by Kylo Ren, and bested by Rey when they're training. She takes him down, and you're going why? And they in the movie they show Luke Skywalker sucking on some titty milk, some blue fucking tit milk, but in the special features and the bonus add-ons, there's this scene where he's mourning the loss of everything that's been going on. That was only like fucking 10 seconds. And it was so impactful, but yet they wouldn't put that in the movie. So that's why people are angry. And that's why I'm salty.
It's because Ryan Johnson's an idiot.
Because Ryan Johnson's an idiot. But at the same time, it's Kathleen Kennedy's responsibility as the head of Lucas to say, Ryan Johnson, I wanted you to have fun with this and make it your own. But there are certain things I cannot allow you to do. And cannot, we have to, that was her job, because Ryan Johnson's doing his job, right? And he's got to write it and he's got to direct it, but she's got to sign off on it. And
I was so disappointed with the rendition of Luke that I actually commissioned this piece to be made by an artist friend of mine. You guys ready?
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
Actually, I was like, give me the light and dark. I just want to see the custom transition between like what I wished Last Jedi was over time. You know, the dark and light.
And want to know what else is funny is Disney, when the fans were complaining, they basically attack the fans, which is what you just cannot do. You cannot fight, because this is a force you just will not. You cannot win this battle. They straight up, they were like, you're basically like, you're chauvinistic, you know, you're sexist, you're racist, you're basically these things, because people were complaining. People are not complaining. I think Rey's a great character. I'm fine with her being the lead in this trilogy. I'm totally fine with that. It's everything else that is just gone around here, and these Disney motives and this force feeding of these agendas in Star Wars. It's like, Jesus, man, like, you know, we don't need to have everybody to be a white male lead character, but for the love of God, Disney, we know you're Disney and you want to appeal to everybody and you want everybody to go to your theme parks and shit, but there's just certain things that you just should not be messing around with. And you know, Kathleen Kennedy she's gonna be gone. Mark my fucking words. This year,
There's already rumored that she's quitting in September.
Yeah, well, quitting. She's fired. All right.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna spin this however they want. They might even say, oh, you know, she just it doesn't. I don't know what the kind of story they're gonna come up.
We've discovered that we have a difference of opinion, and for the sake
She's
of
done.
artistic license, we're gonna part ways so that the company can move forward.
She's done. She's screwed the pooch.
Look,
She's literally divided the Star Wars fandom way more than it has ever been. It's so crazy. And now they kind of do have to watch out what movies that they're bringing out and how fast they're bringing them out.
The directors.
Thankfully, J.J. Abrams,
like hands-on control during production.
Well, J.J. Abrams is thankfully coming back for episode 9. And so he's probably going to make things right, hopefully. But I mean, the amount of mess that he's got to deal with right now is just insane. I mean, in story-wise, it's I wouldn't even want to.
We're gonna do Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi Part 2, the remastered edition by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
I I had things to say. I just don't want to reiterate everything that's been said, I guess. But
It's like they built up Snoke and then killed him instantly. Someone in chat brought that one up, and I'm like, yeah, they do that a lot in Star Wars, though.
just everything about that movie was bad. There was very few redeeming qualities about that movie. But for me, it's when they acquired the franchise. Here's the difference between, for me, the sequel or the sequels and the prequels. The biggest difference is that you're not playing with people's emotions as much in the prequels because you didn't actually have the original actors and actresses, like the original three, in those movies. And you didn't have, you didn't have Chewie, you didn't have you didn't have the original cast. Now you're playing with the original cast again for the first time in 35 whatever years it's been, 30 years, more than that, yeah. So there's a lot more at stake, and the treatment, like Jeff said, specifically of those characters plays an integral role to how, at the very least, the fan base that grew up with the original films as their first exposure to Star Wars, how they are going to inevitably be on board with you or jump ship. That's entirely going to be based on how you handle these characters. The first movie, because Harrison, like Jeff said, wanted out, and everyone knew that anyway, was handled about as well as you could hope, with the small caveat of Luke and whatever, not Chewie not having their moment, all of them on cameras, whatever. That's pretty small in the grand scheme of things. But The Last Jedi did about the opposite of everything you could have possibly wanted them to do with the original character, especially Luke, that you could possibly want them to do. They chose all the worst ideas and made them what the thing that's happening. And then and then on top of that, so above and beyond the fact that they mishandled a character that is basically in the film pantheon for the rest of time, immemorial, in Luke Skywalker, you're going to tell me that you're going to push a bunch of modern day political fuckery into scenes that do not add to the movie at all, and then exacerbate the poor writing of what are being made key characters to the trilogy by planting them in these scenes and making them run this gauntlet of shit, and then they get the raw end of the deal at the other end, and the writers and Rian Johnson are just over there going, I wouldn't do anything different. I'd leave it all the same.
Crazy.
It's perfectly fine. I did a great job. Fuck all you haters. I'm good. Like,
how do you write three different movies? How do you write three in the same trilogy? How do you not know where you're going? Why do you write one film, have no idea what the fuck you're going to do next, right? Scrap a whole script from J.J. Abrams.
I'm okay with writing one script, but then you have to do the next two together. Like, you can write the first one, see how it goes, and then you have to do the next two.
I suppose, but now we're not even getting that because Rian Johnson isn't touching episode 9.
I wish
JJ's doing it. It's like,
I wish that what they had done instead was they would have taken JJ's concept for 2 and said, we're going to find another director that is willing to basically, within reason, not go too much with artistic license and change JJ's vision so that when JJ comes back for the third, he doesn't have to like juggle these
the B team director for. Do we know who the B team director was for the Force Awakens? Because usually when they film movies, they have multiple teams doing multiple scenes at the same time.
I don't know.
And they usually have a secondary director whose job it is to make the movie look like it wasn't done by another director, like those segments.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, those directors have come in and done really well. So I was a little surprised that they wouldn't pick someone like them to take on the next movie if JJ wasn't available.
Because here's the
strong
thing.
team, they can do a good movie.
Here's the thing. whether or not you liked JJ's take on it, and we only got to see one of his 3 visions so far, and we'll see the final one of what he does with Ryan's handoff here, the baton, is that the underlying strength is that whether or not you thought that his ideas were exciting or that they did anything fancy above and beyond playing through the standard, plot lines of the original movies, at the end of the day, at least it's a unified vision. The problem that now exists is that not only do you maybe not like JJ's original vision of the trilogy, but now you have to put up with the fact that you have a middle movie that is so unabashedly terrible, objectively so, with very, very few redeeming qualities. And most of those redeeming qualities are from a visual perspective.
It looks great. The movie looks great. We'll give him that.
And that
It
Mark
looks beautiful.
Hamill is an absolute legend that took shit and polished it until it looked like gold, and in as many scenes as they could make it work. Those are the redeeming qualities of The Last Jedi, full stop. And if you think otherwise, you're free to have your opinion, man, but I feel like you're off the deep end. But that's the strength that could have been there, is that it's a unified vision. Now it's broken up, and JJ is still, if JJ can't figure out a way, if he pulls it off, he's an absolute god, because he has to figure out a way to handle not only the ending of this trilogy, this important trilogy, but do so on his off foot, because he's been completely thrown off balance by Rian Johnson's middle works that are so opposite in how he was going to handle the franchise. So now he's tasked with making not only a really good movie, but bringing it back from the first movie that he did while handling those second movies happenings.
And you want to know what's sad about all this is yes, JJ made a very cookie cutter safe Star Wars movie. And I'll be honest, I'd much prefer that than whatever the fuck Rian Johnson made. And the problem with all of this is, and once again, the task that he, being the biggest anticipated movie of all time and getting the next generation into it, and it being a Disney property now, he kind of had to do what he did in the first one just to kind of get people on board. It was a safe, by the numbers, formulaic type of Star Wars movie that can set to get people in love with characters. And start all this and reintroduce the old.
Hit the reset button.
Yes, you need to hit the reset button, and you cannot blame him for that. Now, come episode 8, if he would have done the exact same thing he did in the last one, then we have reason to complain.
Yeah.
Because then you're going, come on, JJ, you set it up, you got people hooked. Now it's your time to shine, buddy. Now it's your time to take the story.
You got 2 movies to do something new and bring it all back.
The problem is I don't know how much now. Since The Last Jedi fucked the pooch so hard and it's hated so much, I actually don't know how much risk he can take with this. He almost has to play it safe, bring it around, end the trilogy on a safe note for Disney's sake. Because if the third one fails, if you have 2 out of 3 that fail, and the last episode 8 and 9 are both in the Star Wars fandom bad films. That's going to hurt big time. It's going to hurt the next trilogy that comes out. It's going to hurt the spin-off movies. It's going to hurt everything. So he almost, by default now, is being strong-armed, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Could be strong-armed to make a safe Star Wars movie to end the trilogy. That means not taking any crazy twists and turns, maybe not pushing the characters in a way that you might not have thought they've gone. That might mean having to bring back Luke Skywalker as a Force ghost.
He'll be a Force ghost. I'm almost positive.
Or even crazier, he might have to bring Luke back and say that he projected himself kind of like he did before, and he didn't actually die. Because then also when he disappeared, his entire body's gone. His mechanical arm did not fall on the ground. It disappeared with his body. And people were going, wait a second. If Luke Skywalker died and his cape falls, his cloak falls, what about his physical mechanical arm? That's not a piece of his body. That should have fallen to the ground, right? So maybe he can spin it. Now, Ryan Johnson did come out and say in an interview that the reason why I actually think in a tweet, the reason why his arm didn't fall is because, and somebody mentioned it in the editing of The Last Jedi, that it would have been awkward for it to fall and make a clunking noise. And while the music was going and it was supposed to be this impactful sending off of a character, it would have been very, awkward. But JJ could spin it where he goes, he never actually died, right? He could also spin it that Snoke never actually died, right? Snoke also
left open.
is using a force projected version of himself.
That just sounds so sloppy, though. Like, I get it, he can, but it just sounds so sloppy.
It sounds so sloppy, but dude, they fucked The Last Jedi so bad that I think Star Wars fans will go, you know what? Yes, I'm going to go with this. Because then we can actually get a real closure with Luke Skywalker. We can actually see what was going to happen with Snoke. The Snoke thing, maybe that won't happen. Who knows?
They could even say that he didn't die. He just manifested into the Force, and then he comes back out of the Force somewhere else.
He could also do that, right? So JJ, he's got to play it safe, in my opinion, to some extent. Or he could just say, you know what? Ryan Johnson fucked up so bad. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go and make my Star Wars movie, and it's going to be out there and it's going to be crazy, and it's not going to suck as bad as Ryan Johnson, so they're going to like it regardless. But I think Disney is going to have a vice grip around his nuts, and this movie just cannot fail. It just cannot suck. It's got to be catered to the fans again. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what JJ can muster up, but it's going to be a scary one.
Lord only knows. Well, that was a much longer Star Wars segment than I thought it was going to be. Has anything else happened that we can briefly, and I mean briefly, discuss? Snappy.
There's been really nothing. I mean,
Okay.
There's been no movies that have come out. 8 came out this today, so I'll probably go see it tomorrow or Saturday. But that's really about it. There's Infinity War, I think, broke the $2 billion mark, so that was like a big deal.
We've got Incredibles 2 next week. We've got Jurassic World after that, which is probably going to be a dumpster fire.
I hear the Jurassic World was actually, for the most part, it's well received.
Oh, nice.
And that it's almost like 2 separate movies. There's like, and there's like the first half is them on the island. You can see it in the trailer. There's the volcano that erupts, and then the other is they're in the real world, or they're back to wherever.
Sicario comes out at the end of June.
But apparently with Jurassic World is the first half of the movie is like some of the best Jurassic you'll ever see ever. Like it feels just like the old Jurassic, and then apparently the second half it's more of a horror movie. It's more of it's the most intense Jurassic.
So I went back to like the first one.
Yes, yeah, it's very and there's so many call outs to the original Jurassic Park. So I'm hearing really good things. There's some people that are like, I wasn't over the moon about it, but it didn't suck. And I've seen a lot of people say it's better than Jurassic World. So, and I really enjoyed Jurassic World. So I'm excited. When I saw the because the previews, it just does not make the movie look all that great. But I think it's gonna do incredible. It's gonna make fucking shit tons of money again. It's gonna be another $1 billion movie. So and I think it's like the 4th biggest grossing movie of all time. The first one. So, or Jurassic World. So yeah, that's really about it. Infinity War is still crushing it. Han Solo bombed completely. I think it fell off like 68% in week 2, and then week 3 it's just like dead. It's just dead.
They're on track to lose money unless it picks up a little bit.
Yeah, $50 million are on track to lose, and that's what we're told in terms of the budget. I mean, remember they refilmed.
Yeah, it was a $250 million budget. They said.
Yeah, so yeah, they're that's why Kathleen Kennedy is getting fired. Fire, bye. But yeah, that's it. There's
Hey guys, Black Jimmy, $100 current pledge, $425 lifetime.
Woo!
asks, what songs do you listen to when you need to get hype?
You know what, man? I like listening to "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor."
That's a classic.
Yeah,
I can't associate that with anything other than the flash video from stickdeath.com. Remember that?
I remember.
Like
That
the
was
guy
the
he's
whole
on like
Max
he's on
Payne,
like
the
the
Max
tank.
Payne. Yeah, the Max Payne type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's probably my hype song. That's listen to that.
I haven't had a hype song in years. Like in terms of one that actually gets me going. I used to when I played basketball or when I was like working out more, there were some that I would go to that I would use like before a basketball game or whatever to get me going. But I haven't not even those do it for me anymore, and I haven't really heard a song that's kind of got me going in ages. I guess like one of the old ones for basketball, the one that I listened to before every single basketball game, when we were warming up on the floor or whatever, was Till I Collapse. Which was Eminem and a bunch of other guys was on that. I can't remember everyone on that track, but Till I Collapse was that one. And then more recently, the one that's come close. It doesn't quite get me there. Maybe if I started working out and listening to it, maybe it would do it. And it's going to be a completely random pick, and it's going to blow your mind. Jaden Smith's Icon actually
It's a fire song.
gets
What?
me going a bit.
Did you hear the Will Smith?
I absolutely did, and I was
dude, man,
like,
Will Smith
"Oh,
is a
Will's got
fucking
it!
god, man.
Will's
is
got
good.
it! He still
Yeah.
got it!
He even puts in the Spanish too.
He does too, and he just
Yeah.
he just lays it out like, son, you think you're an icon? Let me show you something."
Yeah. Remember who's the
Can
original
one of you
icon?
guys
Yeah.
link me one of those? I do need to listen to it.
Just
Oh,
I heard
man,
about
it's
it.
good.
yeah, just
Oh,
look for
I'm trying
icon Will Smith parody or something like it's named something like that.
Just go on YouTube and just
You'll
type
find
in
it
Will Smith
easy.
icon. That's it.
Yeah.
It'll pop up right
yeah.
away. But make
gotta-
sure you listen to Jaded's icon first. Like
Alright.
you got to watch.
Jaden's
his music
icon
video
is
it's a
actually
fire
dope.
song.
Yeah,
It's a fire song, man.
It,
So
it
the,
just it does get me a bit.
I have a couple of hype songs depending on what I'm doing or where I'm doing it. My normal go-to is Jimmy Eat World's "Pain." It's a really good song. Then if I'm going a little bit more weeb, you got to go with "You Say Run" from My Hero Academia or "Ultimate Battle" from Dragon Ball Super.
Very nice.
If I need to go full weeb, those are the songs. Otherwise, I take it back to Three Doors Down Kryptonite.
Mm.
Oh, kryptonite. Okay. All right.
Old school,
fair,
man.
fair ball. Fair ball. Goose asks, and we don't know if it's the Canadian kind, so we don't know if Goose is actually suicidal or crazy in any specific way. This is a new pledge. $10 current, $10 lifetime. So welcome, Goose. We appreciate
Talk
the
to us,
support.
Goose.
Said, what is your favorite TV show that was canceled prematurely? I'm guessing this probably comes from the fact that there was like this just wave of canceled television shows, and then some got picked back up by other networks here just recently. And if it's not Firefly, why is it not Firefly? It also says, please answer in your best Sean Connery impersonation.
Oh man.
Chuck.
Chuck?
Yeah.
Chuck.
I really like that show. Chuck was really good.
I've never even heard of it.
It's the one with Zachary Levi and Yvonne Strahovski. It's the guy who's like he plays like pretty much like a Geek Squad agent, but who becomes a spy.
For me, it's Freaks and Geeks. And ever since
that's
I've
a good-
watched
that's a
that,
good
it's I'm waiting to be impressed.
Impressed.
I gotta shave my ears.
If you're not spitting on your mic, you're not doing a Connery.
I gotta shave my ears. Definitely, Roseanne.
Oh my God!
Too soon.
What do you mean too soon?
Yo, she blocked the shit out of me. You see that, Adam?
I did see that. That
Yeah,
was beautiful.
She tweeted out at me. She's like, "Leave." What did she say to me? She said, "Leave this poor old woman alone," or whatever.
Yeah,
And
all
then
of
she blocked my ass, and it got like fucking 700 tweets and shit. Like my Twitter was getting blown up, and then I had a bunch of fucking righty middle-aged
just
women
coming
just
at ya?
fucking laying into me, man. They were going nuts, and every single one of them, not a single dude, all women, all Republican.
Yeah.
I'd click on their profile, and I'd go there. It was like America,
Yeah.
America flags, Trump this, Trump that, retweets of. I was just like, Jesus, man, this place is crazy. But yeah, it was funny as fuck, dude.
Yeah,
I cut her deep.
all of my old man voices just end up sounding like Deckard Cain. I can't get away from it. It's just basically
Listen.
yeah, exactly. It just all ends up coming back to that one voice. That's all I end up getting. Just, that's why I had to say the line, "I'm waiting to be impressed." It's like the only that movie. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I need to watch it.
Extraordinary Gentlemen.
The League of
movie was so
Extraordinary
bad.
Gentlemen.
I watched that shit in theaters. Oh my god.
Oh god, dude.
Terrace House has not been canceled, so I would say Terrace House if it was the case. But I am on the last episode of currently what's available on Netflix, and my soul is going to be crushed. However, the next season of Queer Eye on Netflix is about to get released, so I'm going to be okay. I got to get something to bridge the gap.
God.
Bridge the
But
gap.
yeah, I actually, it's not actually Roseanne. I'm just trying to be funny, obviously. I don't really know. Like, I'd say a show like Lost, but it wasn't canceled prematurely. It was,
if anything, it went on a little too
went
long.
on way too long. Yeah.
yeah.
Lost needed to end around season 4.
And I can't even say Breaking Bad because that ended right at the right time.
Yeah.
Of course, I would have loved to have seen more, but I also know as a fan, like it was time. And right now, dude, I'm watching. Oh my god, I'm watching the 100. All right, so
I've already watched it all, so we're waiting for unless there's more come since we last watched it again.
Do you like that? Do you like the show?
Some sick part of me likes it at a superficial level in that, like, conceptually the post-apocalyptic future humanity thing is an easy it's an easy hook for me. The writing is absolutely horrific on levels rarely seen, but for whatever reason I still don't hate watching it. I don't love it, but I don't hate watching it.
So Kayla and I are watching that shit. All right, we're on season 3, probably episode. I don't know how many seasons are there anyway. 4?
I can't even remember because we just watched it. Like,
there's a lot of there's a lot of episodes.
There's a lot of there's more than there probably should be. Yeah.
Dude. So we're on like season 3. All right. I'm not going to talk about actually, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it just in case anybody hasn't seen the show
because it is still pretty recent. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm watching this shit. And Kayla's I can tell Kayla's enjoying it. And I wasn't a huge fan of season 2. First season, I was like, okay, I'm getting on board. This is kind of cool. And of course, the writing, like you said, is absolutely fucking nightmarish.
It's bad.
All right, season 2 was just, in my opinion, it got bad. It got stupid and bad. And then Kayla's friends were like, yeah, it gets really good in season 3. I will say season 3 is starting to pick up. The first few episodes of season 3, I was starting to roll my eyes like, my God, what the fuck are they introducing now? This is like it's basically Lost, but not as good.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's some else, but it's getting out there. And so I'm going, okay, but the last like 4 episodes, it's starting to reel me in a little bit where I'm going, okay, all right. As long as they kind of stay on this path, like where they're going here. But man, the whole tribes thing, the fucking writing, the cheesy dialogue, Kayla and I's thing, what we do now is the writing is so predictable and so bad that we actually finish their sentences. So,
yeah.
So when
Gabs was getting angry at me for a while, and then she started to get impressed with the fact that I could actually just rattle off sentences and just call everything.
There'll be a line like, yeah. They should have seen it coming, but they never see me coming, right? and I'll say I'll say it like there'll be a pause before like the last line, and I'll say the line
in
verbatim.
The pause,
yeah. There's a pause, and then I'll say, oh, he's gonna say they never see me coming. They're never gonna see me coming, and I'll even say it in their voice, they're never coming. And then next thing you know, it they're never gonna see me coming. And then Kayla and I just laugh, man, because it's so bad. It's so bad. But there's something so bad, it's kind of like good, you know. It's like bad, good TV.
It manages to cross over from not being stuck in the purgatory, but like it's actually so bad it's good. And because the production value is high enough that it kind of helps carry it along.
You can tell they got a budget, like they started getting a budget.
I don't know where they got that budget, but they did.
Netflix is paying them a serious amount of coin, I'll tell you that. Because,
yes, they are. But I had to stop because guys get upset with me because I was. It wasn't necessarily that I was only finishing sentences. I was predicting shit like episodes ahead of time, and I would never shut up. I'd be talking the whole time. I'd be like, this is gonna happen, this person's doing this shit, this is whatever, and I would just watch it play out, and it got to the point where I was like, why am I watching this show? I know literally everything that's gonna happen before it happens, but yet again, it's got that X factor.
See, Kayla and I, we watch it, and she doesn't get mad at me, so we're both like making fun of the show. And then it's like serious for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, this is like turn on the next episode. Let's see where this shit goes. and then we get about 20 minutes in the episode, and then I'm realizing that it's still a bad show. It's like it hooks. There's enough there.
Oh my god.
To like keep me going. Where you're like, fuck, I gotta watch another goddamn episode. Like sometimes I wish it was just a one episode a week, so I don't have to binge watch the fucking. It's also a show that if you binge watch it, like almost makes it worse. You're just like, why am I doing this to myself? But anyway. The 100. That's where we're at right now. I'm fucking going through it.
Oh my god.
We'll see where it ends up. But man, it's getting stupid. It's getting convoluted and stupid. Just the right amount of stupid though.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Let's see. Going back, I have to remember to go back to the last post I made too, that we never ended up getting a chance to talk about because of the podcast. This is an easy lead-in for Jeff. This I can't not. Mark Furry asks. And he's $10 current, $100 lifetime. Shoutouts to Mark.
Ooh. Thanks, Mark.
Said, my wife got a second cat. The new one is deaf. Have you ever had pets do stupid things? I'm not actually sure how the deaf cat thing plays into this question, but have you ever had pets do stupid things? Hey, Jeff, I have a question for you. Has your pets ever done anything stupid? Specifically, has Thor ever done anything stupid?
Okay, so Thor. Okay, I've got a serious confession to make. All right, and I haven't even gone public with this, but I'm breaking the news.
This is hot news. Here we go.
Hot news here on the Technical Podcast.
Heard it here first.
So I'm sitting on the sofa, and I'm having a creamsicle. Loving my creamsicle. Creamsicle's delicious.
What flavor though?
It's orange creamsicle.
That's really the only creamsicle anyone should be eating. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like grape or something like heathenist like that.
No, but there is grape in the box.
Oh, don't eat it.
But anyway, this isn't it. I'm eating orange creamsicle, and I get down to the part where the creamsicle is like the bottom of it's always like harder. Like it's like
it's not very enjoyable, but it's there. You eat it anyway.
Yeah, it's there. It's like you almost have to bite into it, and you can bite it in like 3 last chunks. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I get down to that, right? And it's not melting enough like the regular creamsicle part is. It's still intact. It takes like an extra 20 half hour for this part to like go down, and I'm eating this. And it comes down to the last bite, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Kayla, and Thor, my dog, comes up, and he's kind of like sniffing at it, and he knows not to like grab food from us because he's gonna be in some trouble. All right, so this motherfucker he goes to lick it, right, and he licks it, but he licks the popsicle stick, and he grabs it, and it sucks right out of my hand, and I go to grab him. And I like grab him by his head, and I'm like trying to get the popsicle stick out. And Bob's your uncle eats the popsicle stick whole, right? So he eats the popsicle stick, and I'm like, uh-oh. Kayla's looking at me. And Kayla is like, when it comes to the dog or really anything, I don't know if all women are like this. Probably not all women are like this, but women kind of, they get a little worked up, right? I think a lot of guys, there's probably guys that get worked up too, but I think a lot of guys just, their emotions don't, I don't know if it's a hormonal thing, but we're just like, okay, fuck, we know this is bad, but we're going to figure this out. Well, Kayla instantly, like, she gives me that look, like, she gives me that look that if I start to look worried, or if I'm like,
she's
oh,
looking,
fuck.
she's like a kid. She's looking to you to see how she should react. It's like
Exactly.
when a kid hurts themselves and they look them up. Am I supposed to cry now? And if you just like brush it off, they'll be okay.
Yeah,
but if you show any concern, they're like,
exactly. It's literally it, right? That's 100% the look that I get, right? And she looks at me like for some sort of validation, like, and I'm going, I look a little concerned, right? And I'm going, and then I kind of smile like, man, Thor, you're an idiot, right? And I'm like, really? Did you just do that? And I'm kind of like, I know she's on the brink of freaking out, right? And I'm playing it because I'm a little concerned. I love my dog to death, and I'm more concerned, honestly, about my wallet and this vet bill that is potentially going to be coming. But also, I love my dog, and I don't want him to suffer. Like when he got smacked by a porcupine, I was crushed, right? There's just no way you can even hide that. It was just not a good time. But this is just a popsicle stick, and we both kind of sat there for a few seconds to kind of see his reaction. Like, is he choking? Is he fine? And he's fine. He's just getting up. He's walking around. Shit's normal. I'm like, hey, Thor, how's it going? He's like, he's going crazy. I'm like, okay.
So he didn't choke. So that's step one.
Right? He didn't choke. Everything is fine. So Kayla's like, should I call the vet? And I'm like, yeah, you should probably call just to make sure that, this doesn't need to get removed immediately. Like, I'm sure this probably happened many times. Call a vet. Vet goes, yeah, we get this more than you think. Dog's eating popsicles, popsicle sticks whole or whatever. All you have to do is, for one, is he choking? Is he fine? Like, yeah, he's totally fine. She's like, okay, the dog will pass the stick. But you should, in order to make it, because it will be painful. Like, there, if you don't do anything, it's likely not going to feel good coming out.
You ever piss out a rock?
Stick. Not good. So the vet told Kayla to grab some bread and some Vaseline. And basically, you take pieces of bread, feed him a couple pieces of bread, coat it in Vaseline so that so it's easy for him to swallow the bread because bread is really dry. And so I was thinking, well, why not just butter? But apparently Vaseline is good because also the bread will start to mold around the stick so that when he goes to pass, it'll just make it a lot easier for him and it won't be as painful. So Kayla goes out to the grocery store or Shoppers or whatever, grabs a loaf of bread, comes home with the Vaseline. All right. And I'm going, oh my fuck. So anyway, Thor's totally fine, right? Thor's actually happy right now because he's about to eat some bread and it's not dog food. And he's just like, this is awesome. I'm getting treated like a god here. So I'm watching Kayla do this, right? And God bless her. Okay. Because, I love my wife to death, man. But sometimes a girl's simple and it's cute. It's cute. Like it really is. Like I love her. Like I'm looking at her and I let her do this for a minute. Right. And she gets the bread. She went home and bought a small bottle of Vaseline. Okay. And she takes the bread and she just coats this piece of bread with Vaseline. And I'm not talking like a little bit of lubrication. I'm talking we are now half a bottle of Vaseline in. Okay.
She really wanted to grease the skids.
On the first piece of bread. We got to feed the dog 2 pieces of bread. And even the dog, okay? She cuts this piece of bread in half and just coats it with Vaseline. And I'm quiet here. I'm almost amazed, and I'm kind of just curious to see what Thor's reaction to the Vaseline bread's gonna be. So Thor immediately puts all of it in his mouth, and he kind of spits it out. He's like, "Fuck! Like, why so much fucking Vaseline?" But then he realizes it's perfectly good bread, so he goes back down and starts eating it. He eats it, and I go, "Kayla, give me the bread, please." So she gives me the bread, and I just put a little tiny bit of Vaseline on there, just enough, right? And so then he eats up the rest of the bread. And I shit you not, if I knew where the Vaseline is, I'd go upstairs and I'd show you the
How
bottle.
much is
Half
left?
of it is gone. Half of the bottle is gone from 2 pieces of bread. So he eats the bread. Everything's good. Now we're waiting days. Days goes on. We're feeding the dog bread and we're giving him white rice and everything. This dog is like gained 10 pounds from all the carbs it's consumed. And he's sitting around there and Kayla's taking him out every a few hours to see if he shits and checking his poop. So finally, I get a text message from Kayla 2 days ago. She goes, the dog shit out the stick. And I'm like, yay, that's awesome. That's great. Everything's fine, back to normal. And yesterday, okay, this is where the confession comes in. Yesterday, we're upstairs. We're sitting there. We're watching TV. Dog's chilling there. And I'm playing with the dog. I'm throwing the ball back and forth. And then Kayla gets on the floor, and she's playing with the dog a little bit. And the dog messes up the rug in the living room floor. And so Kayla goes to put the rug back in its position. And as she does, she looks underneath the love seat that I was sitting on. And the fucking popsicle stick is sitting there stuck to the floor. And she goes, Jeff. I was like, what? She was like, did you eat another popsicle in this very same spot? The very same spot that Thor ate the popsicle stick? And I'm like, no, I literally only had that one popsicle from that box. Well, turns out Thor didn't actually swallow the popsicle stick. When I grabbed Thor by the head, because the popsicle stick was in his mouth, going in the back of his throat, I could see it. I grabbed him and opened up his mouth and jigged him down because I did not want him to swallow the stick. I jigged his head down and then popped him back up and looked, and it was gone. So I assumed he swallowed the stick, but in reality, it slid when I grabbed him by the head. It slid underneath and just stuck to the ground underneath.
Dude, I saw that popsicle stick when I was there the other day.
Did you?
It was underneath. Yes, I saw the popsicle stick.
That is the same popsicle stick that we found while we were playing with the dog a couple days ago. And so it turns out that the stick that Kayla found in his poop was likely the sticks that she was using down at the lake when she throws the stick back and forth in the water. And of course, the dog he eats parts of the... Yeah, he eats part, like he'd chew on the stick and stuff, and he doesn't eat a full branch, but like pieces of wood, like, get into his mouth, and he ends up swallowing it. So, we both haven't gone public with it. We haven't went on Facebook and was or whatever and was like, yeah, actually,
false alarm.
Yeah, false alarm. So, I'm happy that he didn't actually eat the stick, because it might have actually, fucked him up. But also, he ate a lot of bread and Vaseline for no apparent reason whatsoever, and got some extra walks in, and got babied a little bit. So there it is.
That's
so
amazing.
Yes, my dog has done some stupid shit, and that's just one of many. But
is that really the dog, or is that you guys?
Well, I mean, he did grab the stick out of my hand, which is uncharacteristic of him. And honestly, it wasn't an aggressive grab. It was a lick, and then this popsicle stick was still sticky, so it just stuck to his tongue, and it sucked right into his mouth, obviously. So there it is.
Yeah. The only real pet that I had growing up was Maggie, and Maggie didn't do anything particularly stupid. She was just hyper aggressive with everyone but my father and my grandmother.
She hated me. Dog
dog hated me. Well, I shouldn't say that, but she was super aggressive, like very protective, like ownership of bones specifically. But again, unless it was dad or my grandmother, both of which could do anything, and Maggie didn't care. But she wasn't so bad until the house got broken into, and then she got kicked twice by 2 different people that broke into the house. And then after that, she just became like ornery, just like an old grumpy woman. And so yeah, but never really did anything particularly dumb. Was just incredibly annoying. We never shut up. and
Very bitchy cat for sure.
just super bitchy about everything and anything. It was just it was a Lasso Apso, so it was a dog bred to be an alarm dog. Basically, it's a dog that the moment something is in the area, it just barked like a. And so she was just doing what she was bred to fucking do, and you can't really train that out of them entirely. Like she was worse when she was younger, and she got a lot better about it later on. But it's like it's just what they were bred to do. Apparently, Lasso Apsos are some like breed that are a couple thousand years old from China, where they had them in temples to do guard dog shit. So you are not going to Caesar Milan the shit out of the dog. It's just not going to happen. You only do so much. And so, yeah, nothing too crazy. She didn't do anything too crazy. The only stupid thing she did was she thought she was human. So she attempted to speak English at times. We'd be sitting down having dinner, and she would sit between Dad's chair and my chair, and she'd look up at us, and she would attempt, if we were having a conversation, she would like try and like butt in and try and like speak words, and it would just sound like she was stroking out. And she'd look at Dad like Dad was supposed to respond to what she was saying, and Dad would just be like, so we get to the habit of being like, yeah, oh, really? Yes. So that was about.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
That's nice.
You yes. Sounds like you had a tough day. Like that was basically what we ended up doing. But yeah, that was it. What about you, Panic? Anything? You have like a killer goldfish?
I had a goldfish that committed suicide.
All right, so it wasn't far off. So there you go.
Tough life.
Literally just like jumped out of the tank for no reason.
Wow.
Ended itself.
That's an aggressive move for a goldfish, because they're
Fuck
really
this life.
they're
I'm out
really
of this
docile. You get them jumping out of their tank, they are really looking for a way out at that point. No pun intended. That's quite impressive.
They found it.
Last question today comes from Travis Voro, $70 lifetime, $10 current. Says, given the recent string of YouTube personalities experiencing mental breakdowns, do you think that getting out of YouTube content creation, or do you think that getting out of YouTube content creation when you did was a blessing in disguise, or how do you guys handle the stress of being content creators?
Wow.
I'm actually gonna combine this. So I'm gonna combine this with Prime35, who said, what is a pet peeve of yours that current content creators, new or old, do on YouTube? So there's two YouTube questions here simultaneously.
All right. I can answer the first part pretty quick, and I even said it on Twitter.
Okay.
It's the YouTube couples that are going on YouTube.
Oh, the breakup bit?
And crying on videos and talking about how they have to part ways and they're breaking up, but yet both of them they love each other very much, and they're beautiful, perfect people, but they got to take some time away from each other, and and they got the crying thumbnail, and the baby title, and 3 different ads throughout the video. It's just, it's whatever to me. It's a pet peeve, but I wish it would just stop. There's like a newest one that was out there. I think if you click on trending, it's probably still sitting there. Yeah, it is 24 million views. It's just called "We Broke Up," and both of them are crying in the thumbnail.
I don't suppose this is like an offshoot of the Brothers House.
No.
These are two different
people I've never heard of.
Okay.
These YouTubers I've never heard of.
Okay.
Right? It's just they're vloggers or whatever. It is what it is. Like, I get it. Like, I get the fact that you've got a big following. You've probably created a big relationship with the following, and they're invested in your life, and you guys, there's going to be big changes, and you also don't want one person being blamed for the breakup, and then they're going to get a bunch of hate and backlash because, somebody's either going to love one or the other of them, or, whatever it is. It's just, in my opinion, it's one of those things where you can talk about it in a video, and you can even make a video dedicated to this and say, hey, we're going through a personal matter. you know, we're going our separate ways. It's very tough for us. I hope you guys can appreciate that, and you know, we'll be back when we can. But instead, it's 30
content
minutes
for them.
Yeah, it's literal content. And it's 30 minutes of them crying and just going on and pulling the heartstrings of everybody that's involved, viewer wise and all this other shit. And like what Panic said, the best way to put it is they're just turning it into content. And you know, it's fine. That's their prerogative. I'm just telling you what annoys me. It's like, you know, I even put in the thing, in the message or in the comment section, which I never talk in comment sections, but I did. I just said, "Who the fuck cares?" That's all I said.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it just, you see it on trending and front page, and it's just, it's, you know, it's just like, who the fuck cares? Like, you know, and you can make the argument, well, the fans care. It's like, dude, there's just some shit that you just don't put out on the
You don't
internet.
need to air
You just,
everything.
it's your own personal relationship. It's not, you know, I don't know. Everybody's different. If Kale and I got a divorce, you actually think I'd sit there for fucking 30 minutes with Kayla in front of the screen?
Are you sure you
Try it out?
don't want me to MC that and live stream it
Yeah,
on Twitch
exactly,
TV?
right? And make sure to have my donation thing set up so I can get my life back together.
I
She's
mean,
gonna
Adam,
fucking milk
you
me or something.
You emceed the wedding. It's
I
only
might as
fitting.
well. I might as well be there for the
Might
end
as well
too.
MC the divorce too.
Yeah.
We may as well. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Do it
It's
up.
like, it is just depressing. It's just,
MaximusBlack.
yeah, it's just fucking depressing. Like, you know, that anyway, that's my pet peeve. Some people might enjoy the other people's misery and shit. I don't enjoy to see them hurt. I don't enjoy to see the video there. I don't enjoy any of it. It doesn't, it's whatever. But then again, I'm not their fan. I'm not their demographic, but it is a pet peeve of mine. And they're not the only ones that do it. It's like once the boyfriend versus girlfriend couple broke up, and then they made, and I mean, these guys continue to make videos about it. Like, they made a breakup video, and then like a year later, they're like, we united, and then they're crying again, and then it's like, and then they're like, oh, we got new boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they're making a video about that, and then they break up, and they're like, it's just this nonstop baity, clickbaity thumbnail bullshit, and it's just like, just fuck off. Like, Jesus, go call a shrink.
It's so mine's similar, my pet peeve, and then we'll go back to like what we, because this is ironically connected in the whole burnout thing. And what we do to avoid burnout. But the my pet peeve is similar in that it's when people take things that shouldn't be online and put it online. So people that are content creators that just show up on videos or social media, and they use, it's like they use their fan base as or attempt to use a fan base as like their shrink, or they just scream into the void. Like, they just go online, they're just and then just hope that nothing negative comes of it. That stuff kind of gets at me after a while, because at the end of the day, one, it's not helping them personally. It's doing less than nothing. You can scream into the void and not the internet doesn't have to be the void in which you scream. Like, there are other healthier, more proactive and methods to be used there to accomplish the same thing. But yeah, that's definitely mine. Similar. The breakup thing would be kind of similar to me too. If you're milking it and making videos, there's like 6 ads on it, and it's just this big, over the top, extravaganza. It's just silly. But yeah, that's mine. Is that it's there are people, I think, and content creators that are on all the time have a harder and harder time separating online from fucking reality, because really online is blurring with reality an awful lot. The more we go, get along in this whole industry, the blurrier that line gets. And there has to be something there where psychologically it feels like you're accomplishing the same thing as if you were tackling this in in reality, like outside of the internet. And the unfortunate bit is, if that would be really awesome if that was the case. It's just not going to happen. And yeah, it's just it bothers me to see it for a number of reasons. One, because I've seen people use it as a method of searching like pity parties, like just going for digging for the pity, and then as content creators, it's they're spinning it for support and donations and whatever else they think they're going to get out of it by having people pity them or their situation, stuff like that. That shit just gets at me a great deal. And I'm seeing more and more of it because there are more and more content creators, and more content creators are getting burned out because nobody knows how to create a decent work-life balance, and they get in these situations where they just burn out, and then their entire life is online, and so they just go online and they scream into the void, and it doesn't make anything any better. So yeah, that's my pet peeve. Panic, what is your pet peeve for content creators?
The overly excessive use of jump cuts when trying to record a video.
Well, that's one that's been around since Thank You Philip DeFranco, circa 2006, 2007.
I think it's slowed down quite a bit. I don't see it as
there's
much.
a good balance of doing it. Like I'm fine with the technique, but it bugs me when it's like, hey, I'm going to. What are you talking about? It's just like constantly like just like in the same sentence they have like 4 cuts. That pisses me off. Like if you go 2 or 3 sentences and then there's a cut for something else for a different whatever, I'm totally cool with that. But when you're doing it like every word or every couple of words, it's not edgy. It's just poor production skill.
Yeah. And then for burnout, how do you deal with burnout, Mr. Black?
Oh man.
Neither of us dealt with burnout very well when we first started all this, so we've developed over time.
Yeah, it's see, for me, I always had a problem with it, because I submitted my life to this. That's just I was probably one of the most online streamers on Twitch for a very long time. Very long. We're talking, I mean, I think there was like 1 month where I did like 270 hours or some crazy shit. It was quite literally a minimum 10 hours a day. I mean, an 8-hour day would feel weird. And I would feel extremely guilty if I even took a day off. I've kind of gone to the extreme on the other end now. Because it just destroyed me a few times, almost destroyed my relationships, everything. I mean, without getting too deep about it, it's being a content provider or creator it's one of the most it's one of the greatest things that you can do if you have a passion for it, but it can also be your demise at the same time, because if you love something and you also getting paid for it and getting paid for it well, and then there's also the pressure of competition and relevancy, and then also the unknown of what the future brings, because let's be real here, content providers don't last forever, and Adam and I are kind of the 1% of people that last 3+ years in this world. Most content,
say 1% last.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, there's argument that Adam and I are kind of on our way out now. So and I don't mean that in the literal sense, like, oh, it's over, but we're
comparative to like the 3rd, 4th wave of people coming up right now. We're not in the game the way that you have to be in the game.
Exactly. Like you're on your way out if you're not becoming that problem, that depression problem that I'm literally talking about, where you have to devote your entire existence to being on. And when you're on, you got to be on. You got to be ready. Like, Jeff, if you're on for 10, 12 hours, you better make sure your auto tuner's hooked up. You better make sure your chainmail's ready. You better make sure your tea bags are to your left. and you better be ready and you better be on all the time. And that was my mentality for a very long time, and it worked extremely well. But there were consequences to that. And you could make the argument of, well, it's kind of your fault because you didn't know when to take that time off. But it's so hard psychologically to do that because, number one, you have guilt. At least I'm speaking on my behalf. I had guilt that, there's people depending on my entertainment to get them through the day or whatever. Also guilt that, I'm going to lose out on money today. If I don't stream, I'm not going to make whatever money that is, whether it's $100 or $1,000, right? On a typical day of streaming, who knows, right? So every day I'm not streaming, I'm not making money. I'm my own boss. And then also when you are a responsible and level-headed entrepreneur, right? Not even just streamer, but an entrepreneur, because that's what we are, is you also understand that you have to work harder than the average Joe in terms of hours, right? No real entrepreneur starting out or even maintaining a very successful business works 40 hours a week. It just doesn't really happen. I mean, if you found that, if you're an entrepreneur out there and you work 40 hours a week and you make a really good living and your business is flourishing and growing and it's everything is peachy, then you fucking won. Then you have fucking won. You've won the lottery. You get to spend time with your kids or your wife or your significant other. You get to have me time. You can go work on your health. You can make sure you're eating proper meals throughout the day without feeling guilty that you got to be off the stream or go upstairs and cook something for 20 minutes and lose, 30, 40% of your viewership. You fucking won. You've won the lottery. Congratulations. Fortunately, in this job, there is a consequence to everything that you do. And so it all kind of adds up. For me anyway, it all added up to the point where there becomes burnout, where you just go and you go and you go and you go. And my release was going on vacation with the wife for a week, whether it's down south or heading to Vegas for, 5 days or whatever, and just kind of getting away and forcing myself to be off the internet while I'm away as well, getting off Twitter, getting off Facebook, and just kind of disconnecting. And even for a while, that was a very, very hard thing for me to do. So, unfortunately for me now is I have found a way to not burn out, and that is just to take time off. And unfortunately for me now is I'm not doing it in a healthy manner, right? I'm not working 40 or 50 hours a week and then taking a day off or 2 days off and whatever. I'm just kind of going by how I feel. If I wake up and I'm in a bad mood or something, or I don't feel right or whatever, or I just feel the need to go outside like I did today on a beautiful day and go out in my car and enjoy not only the fruits of my labor that I worked really hard to get towards and achieve, but also just to get the fuck out and get some vitamin C and relax.
Vitamin D.
Or vitamin D. Whatever vitamin it is. I had some orange juice today, so I got some vitamin C in. Some vitamin D and just drive. Like, have no purpose. Just drive, go grab lunch somewhere, help Kayla out with the yard work that we're doing or whatever. So I sawed down some trees that were like dead in my yard. Chainsawed them down, threw them in the woods. So for me, I also know in the back of my mind, and actually not in the back of my mind anymore, I've just come to terms with it, that when I take a day off like that, it hurts me. It hurts me not only like with Adam taking 2 weeks off from streaming because of the move. It hurts him. It hurts him financially. It hurts motivation.
I lost almost 30% of my subscribers.
Exactly.
In the move. Yeah.
So it hurts, and Adam moves to save money. But the reality is he's moving to lose money, and now he's got to work double time to basically get back. But and it's also harder to do that because when you take 3-4 pegs down, it's harder to have that motivation to jump up and grind to just get back to where you were. To be honest, right where you were before is not even all that stuff to be excited to get back to in the first place, right? So that's kind of where I'm at is I don't give a fuck anymore. Like I'm just, and I'm fortunate. I've got a little bit of that fuck you money now, where I'm going, you know what? My bills are paid, and I'm not overly concerned about am I going to be able to fucking eat tomorrow? So that those pressures, the grind and the sacrifice of all that time that I put in, and I wasn't stupid with my money, where I'm going, okay, I don't, obviously I can't fucking retire today and be like, whatever, I just cannot not stream or cannot not make YouTube content or be here on the podcast. This podcast is a big chunk of my revenue monthly. Like, if it wasn't for this podcast, I'll be honest, I'd be like halfway. I'm like halfway out the door now. I'd be 3/4 out of the door. I would be actively, like right now I'm in real estate course. I would be like full blown in the books and ready to like make a transition, So fortunately, I'm in a position where I don't have to worry as much like I used to worry, where, holy shit, I need to grind like 80 hours this week to pay my mortgage. I need to pay this, pay that, pay that. So fortunately, I don't have those pressures as much as say what Adam does. So I don't have to, that part of the grind for me, I would love to still do it, but it's hard for me to mentally put myself back in that dark place when I know I don't have to. So it's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to continue to work hard between YouTube and Twitch and this. For me, if I'm doing a 40-hour week, I'm a happy person because now I know I'm living a normal. I'm spending so much more time with my wife. My relationship with her is at an all-time high. I'm ready to have kids. I'm ready to take on that. I'm ready to live for once. And it sucks at the same time because I miss not being the guy. I miss, my ego has taken a hit. My fame has taken a hit. This is all I know. Ever since in my entire 20s, I'm 31. I've never worked a job outside of Swiss Chalet, for Christ's sake. I don't have schooling. This is it for me. This is my destiny. This is my calling, and I'm losing that, and it hurts me, and it sucks, and it'll get me depressed if I think about it too much, and it's forcing me to think about it right now, and it's not fun. But at the same time, it's my reality, and I also have to know I had a fucking amazing run. And I got to do it with my best friend. And we're fortunate to still be able to do it today and still make a good enough living that it makes sense for us to still be here. So yeah, it sucks being a content provider or content creator and really making it a career and making it one that's lastful and impactful. There's a lot of sacrifice that happens in this. And it's taken its toll. It's taken its toll on me. But you know what? I've accepted that. 2018 has been the worst year of my life in a very long time, and I'm dealing with it in my own way. And I'm not about to make one of those videos crying on the internet, oh, poor me, and putting a thumbnail and whatever. This isn't it. This is a battle that I'm fighting. This isn't a battle for the fans. This isn't a battle for whatever. This is my own battle, and this is my own thing that I'm trying to work out. But yeah, it sucks. I would not suggest anybody to get into this line of work if you don't know what is really what's really asked of you, not only financially but the weight of it all, knowing that I got a dependent person here and mouths to feed, and in order for me to do that, or have had to have done that, was to put myself in a dark place. And that's why you see so many streamers and so many YouTubers have these outlashes, have these cries of talking about depression and seeing a shrink. I've been there. I've done that. Fucking 2 months ago, I was seeing a shrink about all these things, right? But I'll talk to my shrink about that. I don't need to do it here, but since the question's there, I'll tell you. I'm not ashamed of it. It's just it's been a tough career, but it's been an amazing one. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but that is the reality of being who we are. And I'll leave it at that. It's just it. That's just it.
Yeah, it is a tough go, and you have to have a certain personality to really do it and do it well and not get caught up in the whole thing. And even if you do have the personality for it, you can still get caught up in it and land in spots you don't want to, mentally land yourself. But um it is a very important thing that people didn't talk about in the first, 5 years, pretty much, of our industry in terms of the streaming side of things, and even the same thing with YouTube. It wasn't something that anyone talked about in terms of burnout because it didn't. People hadn't really got there yet. There wasn't that many people that had reached that point, and it wasn't exactly a sexy topic. Everyone was just like so excited to be part of this new industry that was that was providing people with a source of income, doing something that they loved versus having to, are you raising your hand to say something?
I'm stretching.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure if we were in a classroom or something. I wasn't 100% sure. So yeah, up to that point, nobody had really talked about it, and eventually it became a talking point, and now it's more of a thing where I feel like, or I hope that creators that people look up to, that they decide to get into this profession, whether it's YouTube or live streaming or whatever it is that you're doing, that those creators have talked about the fact that if you're going to do this, make sure that you have a plan to ground yourself, get away from everything and find the time. You have to make the time, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you look for the time, you're not going to find it. You have to make it. There's a difference. You get caught up in all of this, and you will convince yourself that there is no time to be able to get away from the computer and go see family and friends, or just get out of the house and go for a walk, or exercise, or eat 3 square meals a day, or do like anything to like brush your teeth. Like just do the most tiny little daily routine activities, and you won't find it. You have to make time for it, and it's a very important thing for sure. And so that's been my thing in the last year, is trying to make time to get away from the computer and spend time with family and friends, and do things for myself. And that's like a goal of mine for as long as I'm still doing this, even partially as a career. That has to be a pillar of my time now, is to be able to do that. Otherwise, I'm just gonna, go insane. You burn out, and then you're doing nobody any favors. And that's the real downside to it, is that your content suffers when you burn out. So you might be getting a little less content out, but just know that you're going to be able to be much more consistent over time if you make sure that you give yourself some time to relax. And everyone has different methods for doing that. And so, I mean, I can give what I've done or what I do, but it's going to be different for everyone else. For me personally, if I can't go anywhere, for me, I'm an introvert. So the simplest thing for me to do is just anywhere in the house I can go where I'm by myself. I don't even have to be off a computer. Just as long as I'm by myself, I'm not talking to anyone necessarily. I don't have to be like, I'm not on social media or anything like that. I'm just by myself doing something that I find interesting, and that likely has nothing to do with the rest of my day-to-day activities. Just anything I can do as long as I'm 100% by myself and not being interrupted, to just relax and decompress. And that's simple, because you might not be doing these things in a room full of people, but when you're an introvert and you're doing this job, you have to be a lot more social than you would be normally, and so you can get tired faster. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is, I'm very lucky still, at least for now, I still have my family home out in the valley away from the city, where I barely even have a cell phone signal, and I can get out there and be pretty much as off the grid as you could hope to be. without having to, shit in a bucket in a outhouse, and get away from all of it and just do some chores around that house. It's an old house. There's always things to be done outside and inside. So, get away and do that, and then have nothing better to do than just, go for walks and spend time with the family and do things that aren't computer related, and ground yourself with physical, reality based activities, which I feel people are sorely missing. Like, an example that I heard from my mom, we were actually having this conversation, this almost exact conversation not long ago. And she was saying of a friend of hers who has it was somebody that she just married. There's a couple that she just married, and they both had children going into the marriage. They had been in relationships before. And one of the boys on the other side was a hardcore gamer, and didn't like to leave the room, didn't like to spend time with the family or anything. Just let me, be in the room and do my thing. And grades started suffering, and but also didn't want to pay, listen to parents at home. And so they started getting him, eventually pulling him to a cottage, and then getting him outside with the rest of the family, doing something like chores related. Chopping wood was his chore. He had to go outside and he had to chop wood. And he absolutely hated his life at first. Just fucking hated it. And handing him an axe was probably a bad idea, but they did it anyway. And he chopped wood. And then after a few weekends of doing it, it went from them having to ask him to get out of the house to do it, and then all of a sudden he was just doing it, and now he just wants to go there, and he likes chopping wood. It's a weird thing, and you don't think about it when you do this, even if you don't do it for a living. But if this is like your primary hobby, and you're sitting at home playing video games, and you're inside, and your job is inside, and maybe you go for a walk once in a blue moon, you would be shocked at how much good doing some physical labor of some kind outside does for you. It's crazy, and it helps ground you and get you away from cell phones and computers and everything, and let your brain just focus on a simple task for once, instead of just firing fucking 7,000 different things constantly. And so for me, going down home to the family house, that's exactly what that does. It allows me to focus on only one or two things at a time, and get energy out of my system, and fully decompress. Um, the best way I can describe it is, here at home, I can't go to bed pretty much before midnight here, or I'll just lay awake and stare at the ceiling. It's like impossible. I can't do it. I go down there, and 10 o'clock rolls around, and my ass is half asleep on the couch. And I go upstairs and I sleep for 7 hours, and I wake up and I'm fresh as a daisy, and I go do whatever, and then I do it all again. But then I get home, and then I'm here, and I'm right back into the holy shit. I can't go to sleep until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And it's just a lifestyle difference. Even here on the East Coast is like, when people come from big cities and they come here to East Coast, and they're like, the pace of life is so dramatically different, and a lot of them get addicted to the pace of life here, and they end up wanting to come back here. They can't, because you can't make any money out here, but they want to, and that's why they retire here. But it's something. It's probably the best advice I can give somebody. If you're looking as a content creator to decompress, find something to do outside of the house and make it physical in some way, shape, or form. Just make sure it's outside of the house and make it physical, because it will be probably the best way that you can get all the stress out of your body. And make sure that you just don't rely on this shit. Just don't rely on your phone. Don't go out and do something physical and then stop midway and then be like, I wonder what's happening on Twitter right now. Like, just leave your phone.
Twitter can wait. Twitter can wait.
Just turn your data off and only be phone calls. That's it. But yeah, that's my suggestion. That's my suggestion.
Good enough.
Yeah.
It's a long
Well,
one.
ladies and gentlemen, we are
We
three
had to
hours.
make up for it in some way.
3
right?
hours and 25 minutes deep. We had to make up for it some way. So here we are. We did it. We made it all the way to the end. Panic, do you have any suggestions for burnout for content creators before we wrap this bad boy up?
Seeing as I'm not directly a content creator, I do it through photography and stuff. No, it's actually Adam's one is the one I suggested to a lot of the media people I work with, who we'd go to conventions all the time. We'd kind of go through that burnout phase. It's just go out and do something else. Get your mind onto something you don't usually have to do. Um, Ideally, work out or do something that kind of challenges you in a different way. And just let go of the stuff that you've been like super focused on for a while. Change it up, change routine, and that's usually my best advice there.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty straightforward because it is. It's at the end of the day, being on all the time, the way that we live, even if we're not content creators, the best way to do it is to just turn that off for a while and go do something that is simple and grounded in reality. Because no matter how much you want to tell yourself that this is based in reality, it's not really. This is like some weird bastardized version. Get out there and experience actual reality, and you'll be surprised at just what that will do for you in a number of ways. One, it will make you a better content creator because I'm telling you right now, if the vast majority of your social interaction is only online, you are going to be hamstrung hard. If you can't curate relationships in a face-to-face manner because you've done nothing but sit online and form, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm saying it can't be your only way because it's going to hurt you one way or another. Just get out there and do some real world shit. Just get out there and do something real. It doesn't have to be expensive. Just get out there and do it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 3 hours 27 minutes going on 28. 3.5 hours. We're making up for this podcast, but we're gonna call it there for sure. I know that the list of Patreons that I have here and the one on the website are both not up to date because again, Patreon forces you to update the token that we use to create that list. I don't know why they even make it accessible because it asks you to go in and refresh it like every 24 fucking hours. It's completely superfluous. I don't know why they make you do that shit, but I don't have the direct updated list. I'm going to have to start doing it manually again, and the website is just going to, I don't know, we're going to have to figure out something in the future for that. But for now, most of these people are still here, so we're going to call them out anyway and go with that. Jetrix, Postal Panda, Chico, Fry C, Derek P, Naily, Adam B, Jamaican J, Jorbach, Total Steel, and Matthew M. Bless you guys. Oh, and there was somebody else as well. It was a couple of, oh, for God's sake. You know what? Just hold on. It's already a long podcast. Just hold on. I got you.
I got a place to be, bro.
I got you. Well, you can do whatever you need to do. Jetrix, Postal Panda. I get this list right now. Jetrix, Postal Panda, Matthew M, Chico, Martin K, Black Jimmy, Toad of Steel, Jorbach, Jamaican Jazz, Adam B, and Derek P. There is your proper list, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys. You're all legends. There are some people on here right now. I'm gonna say this right now. There's somebody here. I don't want to call it out for sure. I want to say the name specifically. But there is somebody who is moving on towards $7,500 in total support. I want you to let that bad boy sink in.
Let it sink.
Let that sink. Because hot damn, there's somebody else that's at almost pushing 3. There are some people here just taking it to the limit. Let me tell you.
They like technical alpha, apparently.
They do. Thank God they do.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for stopping by. It's good to be back. We'll be back next week once again, same time, same place as usual. And until we see you, do us a favor. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening. Stay safe. Have a good one. And as always, good luck. Have whatever job it is that person has, because I wish I had that much money to throw around. Peace.
Bye.